Chapter 952. Battle of the Machines. Eve's eyes widened with disbelief as she witnessed the transformation of the dwarves before her. The fear that once gripped their hearts had now dissipated, replaced by a sinister and insatiable lust for power. Their eyes, once filled with trepidation, now burned with a twisted desire that sent shivers down her spine. It was as if a dark veil had descended upon their souls, clouding their judgment and consuming their very essence. Frantically, the dwarves shouted commands and operated the war machines with an almost rabid fervor. Their actions were no longer calculated or strategic, but driven by an insidious hunger for dominance. The once noble warriors now appeared possessed, their movements erratic and frenzied. As the war machines unleashed their devastating power upon the battlefield, the dwarves reveled in the destruction they wrought. They fired cannons with reckless abandon, their shots guided not by strategy but by an unrelenting desire to obliterate their foes. The air was filled with a thunderous roar of gunfire, the acrid scent of smoke, and the crackling energy of arcane spells. Eve observed the dwarves with growing concern, sensing that something had gone horribly awry. While she couldn't pinpoint the exact cause of their transformation, a nagging suspicion whispered in the recesses of her mind. The crystal, that mysterious artifact that had captivated their attention, seemed to be at the heart of this malevolent change. Its presence and the corruptive energy it emanated seemed to have sparked this dark metamorphosis in the dwarves. Doubt crept into Eve's thoughts as she pondered the implications of the crystal's influence. Could it be that the power they had harnessed was too great for mortal souls to bear? Or was there something far more sinister at play, an ancient force manipulating their desires from within the depths of the crystal itself? As the chaos raged around her, Eve realized that she had to confront the growing darkness head-on. She couldn't allow the dwarves to succumb entirely to the malevolence that consumed them. The dwarves were filled with a bloodlust that surged through their veins. One of the dwarves shouted. His voice resonated with fervor and determination as he shouted, "To the depths with mercy! Crush 'em all! Tear 'em limb from limb!" His words were fueled by a fiery rage, a desire to unleash unforgiving wrath upon their enemies. The sheer intensity in his voice echoed the ferocity of their battle, where mercy had no place and victory could only be attained through absolute destruction. The dwarves fought with unyielding determination, their voices filled with battle lust as they clashed with the half-immortal young woman in the sky. Their gruff voices echoed through the raging storm, intermingled with curses and fierce exclamations. "By the beard of Durin, well blast her to smithereens!" shouted the burly dwarf with a braided red beard, his eyes burning with fury. His muscular frame was adorned with intricate dwarven armor, etched with ancient runes. "Take that, you feckin' bitch!" roared the stout dwarf with a bald head and a long scar across his cheek. He gripped the controls of the Thunder Crusher with a tight grip, his knuckles turning white. His sturdy build showcased the resilience and strength of his kind. "Bring forth the fury of the mountains!" bellowed the dwarf with a bushy gray beard, his eyes gleaming with a mix of excitement and wildness. His weathered face bore the scars of battles past, a testament to his experience as a warrior. Clad in heavy armor adorned with intricate engravings, he stood tall and unyielding. As the war machines unleashed their devastating firepower, the dwarves cheered and shouted profanities, their words laced with a raw intensity. Their voices mingled with the clanking of gears and the thunderous boom of cannons as they relentlessly pursued their airborne adversary. "Die, you blasted harpy!" exclaimed one dwarf, his voice filled with bloodlust as he fired the Etherclaw's cannons. His wild beard and fiery red hair stood out against the backdrop of the stormy sky. "Take that, ye dumb wench!" yelled another dwarf, his voice hoarse with excitement. His burly frame shook with anticipation as he manned the Goliath cannon, his eyes fixed on the half-immortal young woman soaring through the tempest. The battle lust in their eyes burned brightly, fueled by the power coursing through their war machines. Their taunts and curses echoed through the storm, mixing with the roar of thunder and crackle of lightning. With every volley of projectiles and every blast of energy, they fought with a relentless fervor, determined to prove their mettle against their formidable opponent. The dwarves, their battle lust coursing through their veins, boasted with unbridled arrogance, their voices filled with defiance and profanity. "We don't give a fuck about your cultivation level, you prissy bitch!" shouted the burly dwarf, his voice dripping with contempt. His muscular frame towered over his opponents, his biceps bulging beneath his dwarven armor. He spat on the ground defiantly, a wicked grin spreading across his weathered face. "Who the hell do you think you are, lass? We've faced tougher bastards than you," snarled the stout dwarf, his voice thick with defiance. His bald head glistened with sweat as he tightened his grip on the controls of the Thunder Crusher, his eyes blazing with a fiery determination. "Fuck your fancy spells, you ain't nothing but a fly buzzing in the wind," bellowed the gray-bearded dwarf, his voice dripping with scorn. He pounded his chest with a gloved fist, his eyes locked on the half-immortal young woman. His battle-hardened visage betrayed the scars of countless skirmishes, a testament to his indomitable spirit. The dwarf scoffed at her presence, dismissing her with vulgar words and dismissive gestures. Their words were laced with defiance, their expressions twisted with contempt. They cared not for her origins or her companions, for in their minds, they were the true warriors, the fierce defenders of their realm. "Your fancy spells mean shit in the face of our steel and stone," spat one dwarf, his voice dripping with disdain. His calloused hands gripped the controls of his war machine, his eyes blazing with defiance. "Come on, you feckin' witch. We'll show you what real power looks like," taunted another dwarf, his voice tinged with a mix of excitement and malice. His rugged features contorted into a sneer, his beard bristling with anticipation. Their boisterous boasts echoed through the stormy sky, challenging the very essence of their adversary. They cared not for her cultivation level or her companions, for they believed that their own indomitable spirit and unyielding resolve would carry them to victory. With every profanity-laden utterance, they dared the half-immortal young woman to face their unyielding wrath. As the battle raged on, Thorgon, consumed by his desire for power, had completely surrendered to the crystal's temptation. His eyes gleamed with a sinister light, his once stout heart now corrupted by the insidious whispers that echoed in his mind. He no longer held back, his actions fueled by an insatiable thirst for dominance. Urgil, on the other hand, found himself teetering on the edge of the same desire and lust for power that consumed his companion. The whispers, like tendrils of darkness, seeped into his thoughts, clouding his judgment and tempting him with promises of unimaginable might. His once steadfast resolve wavered, a flickering flame threatened by the encroaching shadows. Their souls, entangled in the seductive web woven by the crystal's power, were gradually losing sight of their true selves. Urgil could feel the pull, the allure of unlimited strength, gnawing at the core of his being. Doubt crept in, eroding the barriers he had built to protect his conscience. The choice between power and righteousness loomed before him, a formidable crossroads he was struggling to navigate. Thorgon, now unrecognizable, had become a vessel of pure ambition and corruption. His eyes glowed with a malevolent light, devoid of compassion or empathy. He reveled in the twisted whispers, a puppet dancing to the crystal's tune, his every action driven by the insidious desires that plagued his soul. As Urgil witnessed the transformation of his companion, a tremor of fear and uncertainty coursed through his veins. He fought against the alluring promises, desperately clinging to the remnants of his once noble intentions. But the struggle was real, and with each passing moment, the crystal's influence threatened to engulf him completely. The line between righteousness and the seductive allure of power grew increasingly blurred. Urgil wrestled with his inner demons, battling against the rising tide of temptation. He knew that yielding to the crystal's siren song would mean sacrificing his integrity, forsaking everything he had fought for. Yet, the allure of dominion, of wielding unimaginable might, whispered sweet promises in his ear, eroding his resolve bit by bit. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Thorgon and Urgil stood on the precipice, their destinies hanging in the balance. The crystal's corruption continued to seep into their souls, threatening to consume them entirely. Their once unbreakable bond now strained under the weight of their divergent paths, as Urgil fought desperately to resist the darkness that threatened to claim him. At the same time, Thorgon willingly embraced its sinister embrace. As the battle raged on, Eve's resilience and determination knew no bounds. With her hammer in hand, she swung it with incredible precision and force, each strike resonating with a raw power that reverberated through the air. The dwarves, bolstered by the crystal's energy, unleashed their war machines upon her, hoping to overwhelm her with their technological might. With lightning-fast reflexes, Eve dodged the onslaught of projectiles and unleashed a barrage of spells. Her mastery of the arcane arts was evident as she called upon the elements to aid her in the fight. Bolts of lightning crackled from her fingertips, striking down the incoming cannonballs and explosive projectiles, neutralizing their threat with each precise blast. The sheer intensity of her spellcasting created a mesmerizing display of power, the air around her pulsating with energy. Against the Thunder Crusher, Eve summoned a swirling vortex of wind, using its force to divert the massive warhammer's trajectory. As it swung down with earth-shattering force, she leaped gracefully into the air, evading the blow with uncanny agility. With a swift counterattack, her hammer collided with the Thunder Crusher, cracking its mighty frame and causing it to veer off course, its thunderous impact reduced to mere echoes. The Etherclaw, the aerial juggernaut, unleashed a storm of sky blades and sky seeker missiles. Eve, her senses heightened, weaved through the barrage with a dancer's grace. With precise timing, she summoned protective shields, forming barriers of energy that deflected the ethereal blades and redirected the missiles harmlessly into the tempestuous sky. Then, with a fierce cry, she descended upon the Etherclaw, her hammer crushing its propellers and rendering it immobile, its once formidable presence reduced to a mere metal carcass. Even the mighty Goliath cannon, with its explosive force, was no match for Eve's unwavering resolve. As it discharged its devastating payload, she conjured a shield of energy, absorbing the impact and dispersing the explosive energy harmlessly into the air. With a determined stride, she closed in on the gargantuan weapon, her hammer shattering its barrel with a resounding crash, rendering it useless. The ironclad ballistae, with their precision and power, fired their enchanted bolts with deadly accuracy. Eve, her movements fluid and swift, deflected the projectiles with calculated strikes of her hammer. Each clash created a symphony of sparks and reverberating metallic echoes, a testament to her unmatched skill and unwavering focus. Throughout the fierce engagement, Eve's spellcasting prowess remained unmatched. She summoned bolts of lightning, crackling with raw energy, that surged through the sky, rendering the dwarven war machines ineffective in their attempts to overpower her. Each spell she cast was meticulously aimed, strategically dismantling the dwarves' defenses and dismantling their machinery. The dwarves, in spite of their crystal-fueled power, found themselves outmatched by Eve's unwavering determination and unparalleled mastery of combat. With each passing moment, their confidence waned, their efforts proving futile against a relentless assault. The island's energy barrier protected them from direct harm, but it could not shield them from the indomitable spirit and skill of the half-immortal warrior who fought against overwhelming odds. As the fierce battle between Eve and the dwarven forces raged on, a sudden shift in the atmosphere caught her attention. A blood-red spotlight pierced through the stormy sky, illuminating the island with an ominous glow. The sound of distant explosions reverberated through the air, accompanied by the unmistakable rumble of cannons firing. Eve turned her gaze towards the source of the commotion and her heart skipped a beat. Emerging from the stormy horizon was the formidable warship known as Big Bertha, its sleek silhouette slicing through the raging tempest. Corey, the notorious pirate lord, helmed the warship with a steely determination. The red light that fell upon the island served as the targeting mechanism for the mortars aboard Big Bertha. The world knew this crimson light as the infamous signal of imminent destruction. As the mortars thundered to life, the island quaked beneath the explosive impact. The barrages from Big Bertha's relentless assault sent shockwaves through the energy barrier surrounding the dwarven stronghold. The once impenetrable shield trembled and crackled, its formidable strength strained against the relentless bombardment. Eve's eyes widened as she witnessed the cracks forming within the barrier, ominous signs of its impending collapse. The combined might of her aerial onslaught and the devastating firepower from Big Bertha had shattered the dwarves' defenses. It was a turning point in the battle, a glimmer of hope amidst the storm. With renewed determination, Eve pressed forward, her attacks intensified as she saw the dwarves falter under the weight of the onslaught. She seized the opportunity, exploiting the cracks in their once impenetrable barrier, driving deeper into their ranks with every swing of her hammer and every surge of her elemental spells. The battle had evolved into a symphony of chaos, with explosions and clashes reverberating through the storm-laden air. Eve fought with a singular purpose, to dismantle the dwarves' forces and claim victory for her cause. The combined might of her unwavering resolve, the ferocity of her spells, and the devastating firepower of Big Bertha turned the tide of the conflict in her favor. As the energy barrier around the island teetered on the edge of collapse, Eve's relentless assault, bolstered by the relentless mortar fire from the warship, pushed the dwarves to their breaking point. The once lustful battle cries of the dwarves turned into desperate shouts of retreat, their confidence shattered and their forces in disarray. Amidst the chaos, Eve stood as a beacon of unwavering strength, the embodiment of a warrior's spirit. She knew that victory was within reach, but the battle was far from over. The dwarven forces on the island were thrown into a state of shock and panic as they beheld the arrival of Big Bertha, the warship of the Dark Lord. Their battle cries faltered, replaced by gasps and muttered curses. "What in the hells is that?" exclaimed one dwarf, his voice filled with disbelief. "That's the Dark Lord's ship. We're in deep shit now," shouted another dwarf, his words tinged with fear. "They're attacking from the sea too? We're fucking surrounded," cried a third dwarf, his voice trembling with panic. The dwarves exchanged frantic glances, their eyes widening with a mixture of awe and terror. The sheer size and firepower of Big Bertha was beyond anything they had ever faced before. "We can't retreat now, lads. The crystal's power flows through our veins. We must stand our ground," yelled one defiant dwarf, his voice laced with determination. "But how do we fight against that monstrosity?" questioned another dwarf, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "We keep firing. We can't let them break through. Our lives depend on it," roared a third dwarf, his voice filled with a desperate resolve. Though shaken by the sudden appearance of the Dark Lord's ship, the corrupted dwarves were unwilling to back down. The power of the crystal had consumed their souls, fueling their battle lust and blinding them to the overwhelming odds stacked against them. As Big Bertha unleashed its devastating barrage upon the island, the dwarves frantically fired their war machines, their movements frenzied and their shouts filled with a desperate hope to repel the oncoming onslaught. "We won't let them take us down. Fire at those bastards," bellowed a dwarf, his voice strained with defiance. "Reload those cannons. Well, blast them out of the fucking sky," exclaimed another dwarf, his words punctuated by the clattering sound of ammunition being loaded. The dwarves fought on, their minds clouded by the corrupted power coursing through their veins. Their battle lust, coupled with the desperate need to protect their stronghold, propelled them forward, despite the odds. In the face of the overwhelming firepower of Big Bertha, their shouts grew more frantic, their curses more fervent, as they desperately clung to their doomed cause. "Well, bring that ship down. No matter the cost," yelled a dwarf, his voice filled with a reckless determination. "Keep firing, you sorry lot. Show 'em what we're made of," shouted another dwarf, his words drowned out by the thunderous explosions around them. Though the odds were stacked against them, the corrupted dwarves refused to yield. Fueled by the twisted power of the crystal and their unyielding stubbornness, they fought on with a ferocity born of madness and desperation. The clash between the dwarven forces and the might of Big Bertha raged on, the air filled with the cacophony of cannon fire, war cries, and the resounding impact of destruction. Chapter 953. End of the long battle. Thorgar, consumed by the corrupting power of the crystal, his voice laced with madness and malice, urged the dwarves to continue their relentless assault. "Keep firing, you sorry lot. Well, show those Dark Lord's bastards what we're made of," he bellowed, his words dripping with venom. "Blow that fucking ship out of the sky. Give 'em hell," Thorgar shouted, his eyes filled with a twisted fervor. "Don't you give up, you worthless sacks of shit. Well, tear through their defenses and rip that bitch apart," he roared, his voice a mix of rage and bloodlust. The dwarves, their minds tainted by the corrupting influence of the crystal, echoed Thorgar's call, their shouts filled with a deranged determination. "Destroy 'em all. No mercy. Show 'em the wrath of the crystal's power," one dwarf yelled, his voice tinged with madness. "Fuck the Dark Lord and his bitch. Well, bring 'em down, one piece at a time," shouted another dwarf, his words fueled by an unhinged rage. Thorgar's commands reverberated through the chaotic battlefield, his voice a twisted symphony of aggression and hate. "Sink that fucking ship into the abyss. Show 'em the true power of the crystal," he screamed, his voice drowned out by the sounds of destruction and chaos. As the dwarves heedlessly followed Thorgar's orders, their souls corrupted and their battle lust unrestrained, their shouts grew louder, their curses more vicious. Driven by their twisted desires and blinded by the allure of power, they fought on with a reckless abandon. In their minds, there was only the burning desire to bring ruin upon the Dark Lord's ship and to see their enemies fall before them, no matter the cost. The battlefield became a frenzied cacophony of cries and curses, each dwarf fueled by a maddening hunger for destruction and dominance. The air vibrated with their shouts, blending into a symphony of chaos and malevolence. Thorgar, consumed by his lust for power and vengeance, pushed his corrupted comrades to the brink, urging them to fight with an intensity that bordered on madness. "Fight, you worthless maggots. Show those Dark Lord's bastards what we're made of. Destroy 'em all," he bellowed, his voice reverberating with a mix of triumph and derangement. In their corrupted state, the dwarves fought on, their souls tainted by the crystal's insidious influence, their shouts echoing through the storm-filled air, a chilling testament to the darkness that had consumed them. As the battle raged on, the sudden thunderous roar of the Big Bertha's torpedoes being launched sent shockwaves through the air. The warship, under the command of Pirate Lord Corey, unleashed its devastating firepower, targeting the island from beneath the waves. The dwarves, their attention fixed on the sky and the battle above, were caught off guard by the unexpected assault. Panic spread through their ranks as they realized that the Dark Lord's ship was not limited to conventional warfare alone. "What the fuck? They're attacking us from below. Brace yourselves," shouted one dwarf, his voice filled with a mix of disbelief and alarm. "The Dark Lord's ship ain't playin' fair. They're fucking us up from every goddamn direction," cried another dwarf, his words laced with frustration. The thunderous impact of the torpedoes echoed through the island, causing tremors that shook the ground beneath their feet. The energy barrier, once a formidable shield, crackled and faltered under the onslaught of the underwater assault. "They're fucking breaking through the barrier. We're not safe here anymore," warned a dwarf, his voice tinged with fear. The dwarves, now facing a two-pronged attack from above and below, struggled to regain their composure. Their battle lust wavered for a moment as the realization of the dire situation sunk in. "We can't let him take us down. We fight to the bitter end. Hold your ground," barked Thorgar, his voice betraying a hint of uncertainty. The island shook with the force of the underwater explosions, creating a chaotic symphony of destruction. The once unyielding dwarven war machines now found themselves facing a relentless assault from all sides. Amidst the chaos, Eve, hovering above the battleground, assessed the situation with a steely resolve. Despite the overwhelming odds, she remained undeterred, her grip on her hammer tightening as she prepared for the next phase of the battle. The clash of torpedoes and the crumbling of the energy barrier added a new layer of chaos to the already frenzied battlefield. The dwarves, fueled by their corrupted souls, fought on with a renewed determination, their shouts of defiance mingling with the sounds of explosions and crumbling stone. In this swirling maelstrom of destruction, Eve stood as a beacon of unwavering resolve, her hammer and spells serving as her weapons of choice against the onslaught from all directions. With each strike and spell, she pushed back against the tide, determined to protect herself and the island from annihilation. The battle raged on, the relentless assault from the Big Bertha and the dwarven war machines creating a maelstrom of destruction and chaos. The island trembled under the combined might of the underwater torpedoes and the dwarves' corrupted firepower, as Eve fought with unmatched determination to turn the tide in her favor. "Stop her! We can't let her keep tearing through our defenses," Thorgar shouted, his voice strained with desperation. The dwarves, their earlier battle lust reignited by the Dark Lord's renewed attack, rallied once more, their shouts blending with the roar of the torpedoes and the clash of steel. The island became a battleground of fire and water, with Eve at the center, fighting against the encroaching darkness and the relentless onslaught of the dwarves. As the battle reached its climax, the combined assault of Eve, the dwarves, and the Dark Lord's ship, Big Bertha, intensified. The energy barrier that had once protected the island now trembled under the relentless barrage, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface like fractured glass. Eve's hammer crashed against the barrier, each strike resonating with raw power. Bolts of lightning crackled around her, illuminating her determined expression as she channeled her energies into breaking through the weakened defense. With every blow, the cracks deepened, and the barrier's once impenetrable strength waned. From the depths of the sea, the torpedoes launched by Big Bertha continued their relentless assault, seeking to dismantle the barrier from below. Explosions erupted beneath the surface, their shock waves reverberating through the water, threatening to shatter the fragile shield that remained. Simultaneously, the mortars fired from Big Bertha tore through the stormy sky, their crimson trails of destruction streaking toward the island. The impact of each explosive round sent shock waves rippling through the air, adding to the chaos and further weakening the barrier's tenuous hold. With each passing moment, the energy barrier strained against the combined assault, its once radiant glow flickering with uncertainty. The dwarves, witnessing the crumbling defense, unleashed a furious onslaught, their corrupted souls now driven by desperation. Amidst the chaos and destruction, Eve pushed forward, her every move a testament to her unwavering determination. She knew that victory hung in the balance, that the barrier's demise would tip the scales in favor of the Dark Lord's forces. With each strike of her hammer and every spell she cast, she poured her energy into breaking down the barrier's final remnants. And then, with an explosive roar, the energy barrier shattered, sending a shock wave of raw energy cascading across the island. The air crackled with the release of pent-up power, the remnants of the barrier dissipating into nothingness. In the wake of the barrier's collapse, the island lay exposed, vulnerable to the forces that sought to conquer it. The dwarves, their battle lust fueled by the crystal's corruption, surged forward, their cries echoing with a newfound fervor. The Dark Lord's ship, Big Bertha, poised to unleash its full might, prepared to rain devastation upon the shattered defenses. With the energy barrier shattered and the island exposed, Eve descended upon the battlefield like a tempest unleashed. Her landing sent shockwaves through the ground, cracks forming in the earth beneath her feet. The air crackled with electricity, arcs of lightning dancing along the surface of her hammer. As she stood amidst the disarray of the dwarven forces, a moment of silence settled over the chaos. All eyes turned toward the half-immortal warrior who had single-handedly challenged their might. The dwarves, their battle lust momentarily quelled by the sheer force of her presence, stared at her with a mix of awe and trepidation. Eve's gaze swept across the dwarven ranks, her eyes ablaze with determination. The storm raged within her, her connection to the celestial energy surging through her veins. With each step she took, lightning crackled around her, illuminating the darkened sky. Thanks to Michael and Eladir, her hammer had the rune to harness the power of the lightning. And then, without uttering a word, she raised her hammer high above her head. A surge of raw energy coursed through her body, manifesting as bolts of lightning that shot forth from the hammer's head, cascading in a brilliant display of power. The lightning bolts arced across the battlefield, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Dwarves were sent flying, their bodies convulsing with the electrifying impact. The ground shook beneath the onslaught, the very air charged with the remnants of her lightning. In that moment, Eve became an embodiment of unstoppable force, her hammer a conduit of pure destruction. With every swing, the earth trembled, and the dwarves, once consumed by battle lust, now found themselves facing an adversary beyond their comprehension. The clash between Eve and the dwarves intensified, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the echoes of grunts and cries. The dwarves, once filled with arrogance and bravado, now fought with a newfound respect for their opponent. They swung their weapons with renewed determination, their blows fueled by a desperate desire to overcome the half-immortal warrior who stood before them. But Eve's lightning-infused hammer struck true, its power overwhelming. With each strike, dwarves were sent sprawling, their bodies racked with searing pain. The battlefield became a maelstrom of chaos and destruction as the clash of steel and lightning filled the air. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn decisively in Eve's favor. With each swing of her lightning-infused hammer, she shattered the defenses of the corrupted dwarves, their armor rending under the relentless assault. Blood sprayed through the air as bodies crumpled beneath the force of her blows, their screams swallowed by the tempestuous winds. Amidst the chaos, the deafening explosions of mortar shells pierced the air. The projectiles, launched from Big Bertha, rained down upon the dwarven forces, their impact devastating. The explosions tore through ranks of corrupted warriors, leaving a trail of carnage and destruction in their wake. Limbs were torn asunder, bodies were shattered, and the battlefield was painted crimson with the fallen. Yet amidst the chaos, Eve moved with an almost supernatural grace, evading the incoming mortar shells with an instinct honed through countless battles. Her agility and lightning-quick reflexes allowed her to dance through the onslaught, avoiding the deadly explosions that surrounded her. Amidst the destruction, the dwarves fought desperately, their voices filled with rage and desperation. "Kill the bitch! Bring her down!" One dwarf screamed, his voice choked with anger and pain. "We won't let her defy us. Fight till the bitter end." Another dwarf roared, his voice laden with defiance. But their cries were drowned out by the thunderous clashes of steel and the crackling of lightning. Eve's relentless assault continued, her hammer a blur of motion as she pressed forward, her resolve unyielding. The dwarves, their bodies battered and broken, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. Their attacks grew increasingly erratic, fueled by a mixture of fear, rage, and the corrupted power of the crystal. Yet, one by one, they fell before Eve's might, their once formidable war machines reduced to twisted wrecks. Amidst the chaos and the screams of the dying, Eve's voice rang out, cutting through the tumultuous storm. "You should have listened to me," she declared, her words carried by the howling winds. But the corrupted dwarves, their hearts twisted by the allure of the crystal's power, refused to yield. They fought on, their bloodlust blinding them to the futility of their cause. With every strike, Eve cleaved through their defenses, her hammer crackling with the energy of the storm. The corrupted dwarves could only watch in horror as their comrades fell, their bodies broken and lifeless. Amidst the chaos and destruction, Eve's voice echoed once more, a warning laced with sorrow. You could have chosen a different path, but now you must face the consequences of your actions, she said, her words carrying a weight that matched the devastation around them. Amidst the chaos and carnage, Thorgar and Urgil, driven by their corrupted desires and twisted ambitions, mustered their last ounces of strength to confront Eve. Their eyes burned with a mix of madness and determination as they charged towards her, their weapons raised high. Thorgar, his face contorted with rage, swung his battle-axe with all his might, aiming to cleave Eve in two. But his attack was met with a lightning-fast parry from Eve's hammer, the clash of their weapons resonating through the air. With a swift counter-move, Eve retaliated, striking Thorgar with a powerful blow to his chest. The force of the impact sent him sprawling backward, his body crashing onto the blood-soaked ground. Urgil, his body infused with the dark energy of the corrupted crystal, unleashed a flurry of strikes, his dual blades whirling through the air. But Eve, her movements fluid and precise, effortlessly evaded his attacks, her hammer becoming a blur of electrified fury. With a swift swing, she delivered a crushing blow to Urgil's side, the crack of bones audible amidst the chaos. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and disbelief. As the life force drained from their battered bodies, Thorgar and Urgil stared up at Eve, their faces contorted with a blend of defiance and resignation. "We won't surrender," Thorgar gasped, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Urgil, his voice a mere whisper, managed to utter his final words. "The crystal, power, will consume you, too." With those words hanging in the air, their life force extinguished, their bodies became still. Thorgar and Urgil, once filled with the promise of power and victory, lay defeated in the presence of the indomitable half-immortal. As Eve surveyed the aftermath of the fierce battle, the battlefield was a haunting scene of devastation. The once proud island lay in ruins, scarred by the relentless conflict that had taken place. Crumbling structures and twisted metal littered the ground, a testament to the ferocity of the clash between the corrupted dwarves and Eve's unwavering determination. Her gaze settled on the tower, where the mysterious crystal lay concealed deep underground. It pulsed with malevolent energy, its corrupted aura palpable even from a distance. Every fiber of her being screamed for its destruction, knowing the chaos and corruption it had wrought. With a heavy heart, Eve steeled herself for the task ahead. She would retrieve the crystal from its hiding place beneath the tower and deliver it into the waiting hands of Mugashuku. It was a daunting responsibility, one that weighed heavily on her shoulders, but she knew it was the only way to prevent further destruction and chaos. This was a choice born out of necessity, a grim acknowledgement that sometimes risks must be taken to preserve the greater good. In the depths of her being, she felt a sense of trepidation. She understood the dangers of handing over such a potent artifact to Mugashuku, a being of unfathomable darkness. Yet, she also knew that the consequences of defying him would be catastrophic. The lives of countless beings, including those she held dear, hung in the balance. Eve's body ached with weariness as she approached the towering structure. Every step felt heavy, each movement a struggle against the fatigue that threatened to engulf her. Her breath came in ragged gasps, and her muscles screamed in protest. The once imposing armor that adorned her now bore the marks of the brutal battle. It was dented and scratched, a testament to the fierce clashes that had unfolded. Stains of blood, a macabre tapestry of her own and that of the fallen dwarves, marred its once pristine surface. Her hands, once firm and steady, trembled as she reached out to steady herself against the cold stone of the tower. Blood trickled down her brow, mingling with the sweat that coated her face. Her once lustrous hair, now matted and disheveled, clung to her skin with dampness born of exertion. Despite her exhaustion, her eyes burned with an unwavering determination. She refused to let weariness consume her, to surrender to the heaviness that threatened to pull her down. With every ounce of her being, she summoned the strength to continue, to press forward in her mission. Chapter 954. The Grand Scheme of the Previous Dark Lord. New AHSS chapter is out. Please read it and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Dagon materialized within the treacherous depths of hell, a place shrouded in perpetual darkness. The hall he found himself in seemed to stretch endlessly, its walls adorned with ominous symbols and macabre motifs. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, broken only by faint whispers that seemed to echo from unseen corners. Drawing upon his formidable power, Dagon conjured forth a black dagger, its blade gleaming with a malevolent aura. With steady determination, he pressed the blade against his palm, allowing a deep crimson stream of blood to flow freely. The scarlet droplets cascaded onto the waiting skull, etched intricately upon a towering pillar before him. As the life essence merged with the skull's etchings, an ethereal transformation took place. Gradually, the nebulous smoke took on the form of Michael, but not as Dagon had last seen him. This manifestation of Michael appeared more mature and seasoned, with a mane of long flowing hair cascading down his broad shoulders. A thick beard adorned his chiseled jawline, adding an air of wisdom and authority to his countenance. The apparition of Michael hovered above the skull, his form ethereal and untethered. His eyes, filled with an otherworldly light, locked with Dagon's, revealing a profound understanding of the realms and his vast knowledge. It was as if the embodiment of Michael had transcended mortal limitations, becoming a paragon of supernatural prowess. In this unhallowed place, where shadows danced, and secrets whispered in the darkness, Dagon had successfully summoned the essence of Michael in a form that transcended time and physical constraints. I must confess, I never fathomed that the events foretold by you 5 millennia ago would unfold in such a manner today. I have encountered your younger self, the harbinger of our grand design. Dagon spoke with a mix of awe and reverence, his gaze locked upon the elder manifestation of Michael, the enigmatic previous Dark Lord who reset the entire universe. As Dagon uttered these words, the ancient chamber seemed to hold its breath, hanging on to every syllable that resonated in the air. Shadows danced upon the walls, as if mirroring the weighty significance of their conversation. The atmosphere crackled with an undercurrent of destiny, the culmination of a meticulously crafted plan set in motion eons ago. The older Michael stood before Dagon, his presence commanding attention and respect. His eyes, filled with a timeless wisdom and ancient knowledge, pierced through the fabric of reality itself. The weight of his past and future converged in this moment, as if the essence of the ages coalesced within his being. A subtle, enigmatic smile curled upon the lips of the elder Michael, his countenance revealing a profound sense of comprehension and confidence. Excellent. Knowing my own nature, I will present you with the severed head of the orc. Take it to the very spot where we first clashed with the formidable Andor. His voice resonated with the echoes of ages past, carrying the weight of countless eons. The previous Dark Lord spoke these words, his voice imbued with the authority and wisdom of one who had traversed the corridors of time. Michael, there is one thing that has weighed upon my mind for 5 millennia. With your immense power and my formidable army, we could have eventually conquered the realm of gods. Yet, you made the decision to reset the universe and start anew. Why? Dagon's voice carried a mix of curiosity, anticipation, and a hint of long-awaited satisfaction. For countless years, he had yearned for this moment to activate the artifact bestowed upon him by the previous Dark Lord and pose this burning question. You already know the answer, Dagon. Without Gaia by my side, there is no purpose in seeking conquest or ruling over the vast expanse of the universe. Michael's voice carried a profound sorrow, reflected in the depths of his weary eyes. The weight of loss and longing permeated his words, a testament to the love he had shared with his wife, Gaia. The curse that had befallen her, slowly consuming her existence until her inevitable demise, had driven him to make the ultimate sacrifice, to reset the very fabric of reality. In his eyes, the pursuit of power and dominion had lost all meaning in the absence of his beloved. Dagon's laughter echoed through the chamber, a bitter and mocking sound. So, you reset the entire universe for one girl? All those worlds, all those lives, all for the sake of your love? His voice dripped with sarcasm, unable to comprehend the depths of Michael's sacrifice. You truly are a sentimental fool, sacrificing everything for a fleeting romance. She was not my girlfriend, Dagon. She was my wife. Michael's voice carried a mix of sorrow and determination. The weight of his words hung in the air, revealing the depth of his connection to Gaia. A wife is not just a companion or a partner, Dagon, Michael said, his voice carrying a touch of wisdom. She is the foundation of a man's soul, the light that illuminates his path, and the source of his strength in times of darkness. In her love and presence, a man finds solace, purpose, and the courage to face any challenge. A wife is a reflection of his deepest desires, a confidant in his deepest fears, and the embodiment of unwavering support. With her by his side, a man becomes more than himself, for she completes him in ways no other can. So, do not underestimate the power and significance of a wife, for she is the beating heart of a man's existence. Despite Michael's earnest words, Dagon remained obstinate in his pursuit of power. To him, power held greater significance than any emotional connection or companionship. The concept of love and the value of a wife were lost on him, for his heart was consumed by ambition and the thirst for supremacy. The previous Dark Lord recognized this inherent quality in Dagon, his propensity for deception and manipulation, and that was precisely why he struck a clandestine deal with him. While Dagon was often labeled as the devil and deceiver, Michael knew that compared to many gods in the realm of gods, Dagon possessed a certain level of cunning and resourcefulness that made him a formidable ally. It was this mutual understanding of their shared ambitions that forged an unlikely partnership between them, where each sought to exploit the other's strengths for their own gain. Dagon paced back and forth, his expression filled with concern and skepticism. He couldn't comprehend why the previous Dark Lord would opt for such a perilous plan, one that carried the weight of potential destruction. With a furrowed brow, he finally voiced his apprehension. Michael, this plan of yours is beyond risky. A single mistake could cost your current self's life, and with it, all that we have strived for. Why would you willingly put yourself in such jeopardy? Dagon questioned, his voice tinged with a mix of caution and confusion. The previous Dark Lord's aged eyes met Dagon's gaze, revealing a mixture of determination and resignation. Deep lines etched his weathered face, telling the story of a man burdened by the weight of his choices. Dagon, the stakes are high. I won't deny that. But sometimes, great risks must be taken for even greater rewards, he replied, his voice carrying the weight of experience. I had witnessed countless futures, Dagon, before I made the decision to reset the universe, Michael revealed, his voice carrying the weight of his experiences. In all those possibilities, this is the only timeline where Gaia survives, and we attain what we have always longed for. Dagon came to a sudden halt, his gaze fixed upon the previous Dark Lord. The air crackled with a mixture of intrigue and amusement as he locked eyes with his enigmatic companion. Very well, Michael. I shall place my trust in your vision. Now, pray tell me the next phase of this intricate plan, O God of Darkness, Dagon inquired, his voice laced with a subtle hint of amusement. Once you arrive at the designated battleground, secure the severed head of the orc upon the pedestal, Michael began, his voice carrying a weight of authority. By doing so, the runes I meticulously inscribed will be activated. This will temporarily disrupt the barrier that encases the mortal realm, creating a narrow passage for you and a select portion of your forces to infiltrate their sacred domain. Michael met Dagon's gaze with a steady intensity, his eyes emanating ancient wisdom. When you reach the realm of gods, go to my temple, where you find the graces of the fallen gods. Release the graces, the previous Dark Lord elucidated, revealing the next crucial step of their audacious plan. The revelation struck Dagon with an unexpected force, causing him to stagger under the weight of the revelation momentarily. The realization that Michael had kept the graces of the fallen gods hidden within his sanctuary sent shockwaves through Dagon's being. His mind raced, struggling to comprehend the implications of such a revelation. How had Michael acquired and preserved such divine remnants? What role did these graces play in the grand tapestry of their undertaking? Dagon's brows furrowed, his face etched with disbelief as the weight of Michael's admission settled upon him. The magnitude of what he had just learned sent shockwaves through his being, reverberating with a mix of awe and astonishment. The very notion that Michael had succeeded in capturing the graces of the fallen gods defied the bounds of comprehension. His eyes widened, mirroring the depths of his astonishment, as he struggled to find words to articulate his incredulity. The air hung heavy with the weight of the revelation, a palpable sense of wonder permeating the space between them. What the fuck, Michael? You actually managed to capture the graces? Dagon's voice carried a tinge of disbelief and a touch of anger. And now you want to release them? Are you out of your goddamn mind? If those graces make it to the fallen gods, they'll regain their fucking powers in the mortal realm. The damn barrier won't stop them from reaching their mortal bodies and turning them into gods. Undeterred by Dagon's shock and the animosity that flickered in his eyes at the mention of the graces, Michael pressed on. His voice carried an unwavering conviction. Listen to me, Dagon. The awakening of the graces is crucial. It is the catalyst needed to propel my current self out of his goddamn comfort zone and face the sky hall. He must confront the reality of the god's threat, eradicate the formidable 8 clans, and prepare for the ultimate battle against the divine forces. Michael's tone grew somber, echoing with a sense of urgency. As he spoke, a darkening aura enveloped their surroundings, the air crackling with ominous energy. Thunder rumbled in the distance, underscoring the gravity of their conversation. The gods must be confronted, Dagon. Michael continued, his voice steady but laced with an undeniable edge. They hold immense power, and my current self must understand the magnitude of the challenge he faces. Only then can he rise to the level of godhood we envision. It is a goddamn necessity. Michael's words hung in the air, the weight of their significance palpable. The darkened hall seemed to vibrate with an intensity that matched the thunderous rumblings outside, as if the very fabric of reality acknowledged the magnitude of their discussion. But don't you fucking forget, Dagon. Michael's voice turned deadly cold, his eyes gleaming with murderous intent. I have a score to settle. You must uncover the origin of the goddamn curse they inflicted upon Gaia. If I were in your goddamn shoes, I'd start by interrogating one of Archer Crook's fucking disciples. Archer Crook, one of the founding members of Mazeroth, stood at the forefront of Michael's list of targets. Alongside Ingrid Stenham, Qin Jiao, and Kargan Pavlovich, they were the insufferable quartet who had waged war against the previous Dark Lord 5,000 goddamn years ago. As Dagon stood before the elder Michael, a flicker of unease crossed his face. Deep within the depths of his being, the raging hell flame seethed with eternal hatred for the one who wielded the dark flames. Yet, to Dagon's surprise, the infernal flames remained eerily calm throughout their conversation. Despite the overwhelming animosity pulsating within him, the hell flames, usually wild and untamed, seemed to listen intently to Dagon's every word. They did not lash out in a fury or attempt to consume their host. Instead, they glowed with a dim, subdued intensity, their fiery hues casting an otherworldly glow upon Dagon's features. It was as if the hell flames recognized the significance of this encounter, the weight of the ancient being before them. The flames, in their primal wisdom, understood that this was not a moment for recklessness or blind aggression. They bided their time, observing with a silent, smoldering presence. While the flames yearned to incinerate the dark flames and eradicate their opposing essence, they recognized the delicate balance that existed in this pivotal moment. They were patient, waiting for the opportune moment to exact their vengeance, knowing that the culmination of their fiery hatred would come in due time. Dagon's voice dripped with venomous fury as he confronted the elder Michael. His eyes blazed with an intensity that seemed to draw upon the very essence of the hell flames burning within him. And I hope your current self will keep the word you gave me all those years ago, Michael? Dagon spat, his words laced with hatred that resonated through the dark hall. His form seemed to grow taller, a towering presence emanating power and malice. The air crackled with an electric charge, mirroring the intensity of his wrath. The flames within Dagon surged, their fiery tendrils licking the air around him, casting an eerie glow upon his contorted features. Shadows danced menacingly, amplifying the dramatic atmosphere that enveloped them. Wulfric's soul is mine. Dagon's voice thundered, echoing through the depths of the pit. His rage reverberating like a tempestuous storm, shaking the very foundation of the hall. The sheer force of his words seemed to send tremors through the air, a warning of the ferocity that lay within him. In that moment, Dagon appeared almost otherworldly, a being consumed by his own wrath, driven by a thirst for vengeance that knew no bounds. His power radiated with an undeniable force, his very presence commanding attention and evoking a mix of awe and fear. Chapter 955. The Hardest Timeline, new AHSS chapter is out. Please read it and let me know your thoughts in the comments. As Michael made his triumphant return to Dagon's castle, the air crackled with tension in the throne hall. Dagon sat upon his grand throne, an embodiment of darkness and power, his piercing gaze surveying the scene before him. With an air of nonchalance, he rested his head upon his hand, seemingly unfazed by the impending confrontation. Without a moment's hesitation, Michael hurled the severed head of the fearsome orc directly into Dagon's lap, the gruesome trophy landing with a sickening thud. The act was a bold display of defiance, a statement that Michael had fulfilled his end of the bargain and expected nothing less in return. With an unwavering gaze, Michael stood tall, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. I held up my end of the bargain. Now, it is time for you to honor your part. Return Nightmare's soul to us. Buzz, standing by Michael's side, trembled at the audacity and fearlessness displayed by the enigmatic human. Though a creature of the realm of hell, even he felt a pang of unease in the presence of Dagon. He contemplated making a swift exit, but to his surprise, Dagon remained eerily composed, an enigmatic smile playing upon his lips. Dagon's voice, smooth as silk and laced with an underlying darkness, filled the throne hall. "Ah, Michael, you do have a way with theatrics," Buzz marveled at the unfolding scene, realizing that Michael possessed a hidden strength that surpassed his initial assumptions. The power dynamics of the encounter were shifting, and he found himself unable to tear his gaze away from the exchange between these formidable beings. "Isn't it really funny that you made a deal with the devil?" Dagon amused. A smug grin played upon Dagon's lips as he observed the reaction from Michael, his brows furrowing in a mixture of annoyance and suspicion. The devilish ruler of hell found great amusement in the situation, reveling in the irony of making a deal with the very embodiment of darkness. Before tensions could escalate further, Gaia, fueled by her own righteous anger, stepped forward, ready to demand the return of Nightmare's soul. However, Michael's firm grip on her hand held her back, a silent reminder of the precarious nature of their situation. Though his desire burned within him, Michael understood the delicate balance they treaded. To challenge Dagon now would be to invite calamity upon themselves. Yet, a silent promise formed in his mind, a vow to bring hell to Dagon's doorstep if ever the need arose. However, to Michael's surprise, Dagon did not retract his promise. With a mere snap of his fingers, the entire castle quaked, its very foundations trembling beneath their feet. The ground cracked and fissured before Michael, eliciting a cautious step back. From the depths of the fractures, a radiant ball of light emerged, pulsating with the essence of Nightmare's soul. A moment of silence enveloped the chamber as Michael and Gaia locked eyes with the ethereal manifestation of what they sought. It was a testament to the power and authority Dagon wielded, even in the realm of hell. The ball of light, once trapped within the confines of Nightmare's being, now floated before them, a symbol of their triumph. As Gaia reached out for the ethereal essence of Nightmare's soul, a flicker of uncertainty passed across Michael's face, his brows furrowing in contemplation. The weight of the question lingered in his mind, overshadowing the triumph of their victory. How could they safely transport the soul back to their world, evading the clutches of the treacherous realm they found themselves in? How do we ensure the safe passage of the soul and escape this realm? Michael's voice held a note of determination, his gaze fixed upon Dagon, who now stood upright, holding the severed head of the orc. Dagon's response came in the form of a snide remark, his laughter echoing through the chamber. The devilish ruler displayed no intention of offering a straightforward answer, leaving Michael to wrestle with the weight of their predicament. But before Michael could utter another word, Dagon vanished into thin air, leaving them with unanswered questions. In an instant, a powerful force enveloped them, whisking them away from Dagon's castle. The world shifted and twisted before Michael's eyes, transforming into a solitary mountain peak. From this vantage point, the entirety of the hellish realm sprawled before him, a breathtaking yet foreboding sight. The winds howled around him, carrying with them the whispers of ancient souls and the lingering scent of brimstone. Michael's gaze scanned the jagged landscape, the tumultuous depths of the abyss, and the swirling storms that painted the horizon with an ominous hue. It was a sight that both captivated and unnerved him, a constant reminder of the perilous journey that lay ahead. A sharp cry pierced the air, breaking the stillness of the moment. Michael swiftly turned his attention to Gaia, his eyes widening in alarm as he saw blood trickling from her hand. Her attempt to touch Nightmare's soul had elicited a powerful surge of electricity that seared through her flesh, leaving behind a painful wound. "Fucking hell," Gaia hissed through gritted teeth, her hand trembling from the shock. The sharp pang of pain mingled with frustration, and her choice of words reflected her exasperation. Buzz, unable to contain himself, let out a chuckle at Gaia's reaction. His comical nature seemed to find amusement in the clash of Gaia's fiery spirit and her sharp tongue. "Nasty mouth for a pretty girl," Buzz remarked, a mischievous glint in his multifaceted eyes. Gaia's fury flared at the insect's taunting words, her eyes narrowing as she locked her gaze on Buzz. "I will tear your limbs apart, insect," Gaia growled, her tone laced with a lethal promise. With utmost care, Michael cradled Gaia's injured hand in his own, his touch gentle yet firm. Retrieving a vial of healing potion from his space ring, he poured its soothing contents over the wound, allowing its restorative magic to take effect. As he tended to her, a profound change occurred in the sky above. The once eerie crimson hue of the hellish realm shifted to a foreboding black, casting an unsettling pall over the surroundings. Buzz's frantic gaze darted about, his fear mounting as the atmosphere transformed before his eyes. Thunder resounded with an ominous rumble, and jagged streaks of black lightning sliced through the dark gray clouds above. The disconcerting sight intensified, shrouding the area in an eerie darkness that seemed to pulsate with overwhelming power. Amidst this unsettling ambience, the ethereal form of the previous Dark Lord materialized before Michael, his presence stunning everyone in their tracks. His spectral figure exuded a palpable aura of ancient wisdom and indomitable power, as if the very fabric of the realm acknowledged his arrival. Buzz's insect body quivered with fear as he beheld the overwhelming power emanating from the ethereal form of the previous Dark Lord. His bulbous eyes widened in terror, the fear gripping his heart so tight that it felt as if his wings would fail him. Trembling legs threatened to give way beneath him, but he mustered every ounce of courage to stay rooted in place. The sheer magnitude of the Dark Lord's presence seemed to dwarf Buzz's own existence, and the weight of that realization sent a shiver down his spine. It was as if the very essence of darkness and might had coalesced into a formidable entity standing before him, and the depths of Buzz's soul quivered in response to its profound power. His wings twitched involuntarily, his breath caught in his throat, and he could only pray that he would not be the target of this being's attention. In that moment, Buzz felt the insignificance of his comical bravado, and realized the true terror that lay within the presence of one who had mastered the forces of darkness. As the previous Dark Lord fixed his gaze upon Gaia, a tender mixture of love, sadness, and joy flickered in his ethereal eyes. His gaze held a depth of emotion that transcended time itself, for he saw before him the very essence of his beloved Gaia, the woman he cherished with every fiber of his being. Though her appearance mirrored that of his current self's Gaia, he knew the weight of her destiny, the curse that plagued her existence in his timeline. In that fleeting moment, the previous Dark Lord's heart swelled with love, his sadness stemming from the knowledge of what awaited her. Yet, intertwined with his sorrow was a profound joy, a bittersweet celebration of this unexpected encounter. With a gentle smile, the previous Dark Lord extended a spectral hand toward Gaia, a silent acknowledgement of their shared connection across the dimensions. Though their time together was fleeting, his love for her transcended the boundaries of existence. It was a love that defied the limitations imposed by destiny, a love that burned eternal within his immortal soul. Lost in a whirlwind of emotions, Gaia found herself irresistibly drawn to the ethereal hand extended before her. Her own hand trembled with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty, as if guided by an invisible force. In that moment, the weight of her own existence and the connection she shared with the previous Dark Lord collided within her being. With a mixture of curiosity and longing, Gaia extended her hand, her fingertips hovering just inches away from the incorporeal form of the previous Dark Lord. Time seemed to stand still as her thoughts swirled in a vortex of questions and unspoken words. She yearned to feel the touch of his hand, to bridge the gap between their two worlds and grasp a fleeting moment of connection. As Gaia's fingertips made contact with the ethereal hand of the previous Dark Lord, a serene smile graced his lips. His gaze, filled with a mix of love, sadness, and joy, shifted towards Michael, his current self. However, before any words were spoken, a mere wave of his hand sufficed to halt time itself, casting an encompassing darkness that froze the world around them. Amidst this temporal suspension, Michael stood as the sole exception, unaffected by the shroud that enveloped them. The previous Dark Lord drew a deep breath, his eyes meeting Michael's, signaling the beginning of their profound encounter. In that suspended moment, an air of anticipation hung heavy as Michael's mind brimmed with countless questions for his enigmatic past self. Michael's voice trembled with a mix of frustration and confusion as he confronted his previous self with a torrent of questions. "Did you know Diana was our mother?" he inquired, his words laced with a hint of accusation. The previous Dark Lord met Michael's gaze steadily, his expression calm and unwavering. "Yes," he replied simply, acknowledging the truth. Michael's voice grew more impassioned as he pressed for answers. "Then why, in all the times we've met before, did you keep it from me? Why didn't you provide a single clue or leave behind a recording revealing the truth about our family? And why, above all, did you keep Noah's identity as my brother concealed?" The air around them grew heavy with the weight of unspoken secrets as Michael sought answers from the depths of his own past. "Consider this, Michael," the previous Dark Lord replied, his voice filled with a tinge of sadness and hidden anger, his brows furrowed with deep contemplation. Do you honestly believe that I would choose to reset the entire universe and erase my own existence without exhausting every other possibility? With the aid of the system, I have witnessed countless timelines, and in each one, I have observed that the only timeline in which Gaia survives is the very timeline you currently reside in. The weight of his words hung in the air, carrying the weight of immense grief and the burden of a fate that had been carefully navigated. The previous Dark Lord's eyes held a mixture of determination and regret as he sought to convey the complexity of his choices to his current self. Any alterations made to this very timeline would result in the loss of the love of your life, Gaia, forever. The system has its own adversaries, powerful enemies even I, at the height of my power, struggled to confront. To safeguard you in the system, I deliberately weakened its capabilities, ensuring the Omegas would be unable to trace its location or your existence. His words echoed with a sense of urgency, emphasizing the dire consequences that tampering with the delicate balance of the timeline could bring. The previous Dark Lord's eyes bore a mixture of wisdom and a deep understanding of the risks involved as he sought to impress upon Michael the gravity of their situation. I understand your desire for answers, Michael, but the entire point of resetting the universe was to give you a different life, separate from mine, the previous Dark Lord explained, his voice tinged with a hint of melancholy. As beings like us, we are taught to maintain emotional control in all circumstances. However, witnessing the deaths of countless loved ones and the painful task of burying their remains will gradually erode your very soul. His words conveyed the weight of the burden he had carried, understanding the toll it took on his own heart. The previous Dark Lord's eyes held a mix of empathy and the wisdom gained from his own experiences, recognizing the inner struggles Michael would face along his journey. Even when my Gaia was cursed, she tried to retain her spirited nature. Her snarky remarks aimed at making me laugh. The previous Dark Lord's voice carried a heavy sadness. But with every attempt, she would falter and collapse, writhing in pain. In those moments, no amount of victories or the grandeur of ruling the universe held any meaning, Michael. It was an empty existence, overshadowed by the agony she endured. The weight of his words conveyed the deep sorrow and helplessness that came with witnessing his beloved suffer. Despite all the power and control he held, the pain of seeing Gaia in such a state overshadowed any sense of accomplishment or fulfillment. It was a testament to the depth of their connection and the profound impact her suffering had on him. The current Michael's eyes shimmered with a mixture of sadness and determination, transforming into a steely resolve. A confident smile curved his lips, radiating an air of unyielding determination. "The tragedy that befell your Gaia will not be in vain," he declared, his voice resonating with unwavering conviction. "No matter the gods or forces that dare come after her, I will slaughter them all. This timeline is mine to rule, and it is in this very timeline that she thrives. When I depart from this realm, I will not only marry her, but I will show you what it means to be a fucking husband, a protector who defies fate itself." His words echoed through the chamber, each syllable brimming with an electrifying presence. The current Michael exuded an unwavering confidence, the embodiment of a warrior who had embraced his destiny and was prepared to face any challenge head-on. In that moment, he stood tall, a force to be reckoned with, ready to defy the odds and carve his own path to ensure the safety and happiness of the woman he loved. Chapter 956. Rest in peace, Michael. New AHSS chapter is out. Please read it and let me know your thoughts in the comments. As the confident words of the current Michael resounded in the chamber, the previous Dark Lord felt a surge of pride wash over him. He had orchestrated events, sacrificed his own existence, and shaped the very fabric of the universe to pave the way for this moment. The conviction and determination exuded by his successor validated his choices and gave him solace in the knowledge that his sacrifices were not in vain. With a solemn yet satisfied smile, the previous Dark Lord addressed the current Michael. "Everything I sacrificed has led us to this moment, Michael. I made many mistakes, but giving ourselves a second chance was not one." The current Michael nodded, acknowledging the weight of his previous self's words. However, before he could respond, the previous Dark Lord continued with a grave expression. "Now, listen carefully, Michael. As you leave this realm, I want you to entrust Nightmare's soul to Buzz," the previous Dark Lord instructed, his voice tinged with a sense of urgency. "He may seem cowardly and foolish, but he possesses an innate power that will prove invaluable to you in the future. Trust him, for he will play a significant role in your journey. This is not an altercation of the timeline but my advice to you." Michael regarded the previous Dark Lord with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. However, a flash of doubt crossed his face as he considered entrusting Nightmare's soul to someone like Buzz. But Buzz. He is a coward. How can I trust him with something so important? Michael questioned, his voice tinged with skepticism. The previous Dark Lord's eyes glinted with a hint of amusement as he responded. But you see, Michael, cowards have the potential to surprise us. Their fear can drive them to acts of unexpected bravery. Loyalty, too, can be found even in the most unlikely of souls. Curiosity piqued, Michael leaned in closer, awaiting the wisdom his previous self had to offer. Cowards understand the value of loyalty better than most. When pushed to their limits, they can rise above their fears and show unwavering allegiance, the previous Dark Lord explained, a flicker of intensity in his eyes. Do not underestimate Buzz. In his own comical way, he may prove to be a steadfast companion, willing to go to great lengths to protect what he holds dear. Michael pondered the words of the previous Dark Lord, weighing the risks and rewards. After a moment of reflection, he nodded, accepting the truth in his predecessor's words. As the weight of their conversation settled upon them, the previous Dark Lord gazed at Michael with a mixture of pride and sadness. He knew that this would be the last time they would stand face to face, their paths forever diverging from this point onward. Michael, my time here is drawing to a close. From this moment forward, you must forge your own path, guided by the lessons you've learned and the choices you make. The previous Dark Lord spoke with a voice filled with both conviction and a tinge of wistfulness. You possess the strength and wisdom to shape your own destiny, and it is time for me to release the reins and fade into the annals of time. Michael's eyes reflected a mixture of gratitude and acceptance as he realized the truth in his previous self's words. He knew that he had been entrusted with a great responsibility, and that he alone would have to face the challenges that lay ahead. Thank you, Michael said sincerely, his voice carrying a deep sense of appreciation. For everything you have done, for the sacrifices you've made. Your guidance and wisdom have shaped me into who I am today. A gentle smile graced the previous Dark Lord's lips as he acknowledged Michael's words. With a nod, he spoke softly. Before I depart, with your permission, I would like to speak to Gaia one last time, to offer her my gratitude and share a final farewell. Michael's eyes softened, understanding the significance of this request. He knew that the bond between the previous Dark Lord and Gaia was unique and profound, and he respected the need for a final conversation between them. You have my permission, Michael replied, his voice filled with genuine warmth. Gaia deserves to hear your words, to know that you are at peace with the choices you've made. With a nod of gratitude, the previous Dark Lord acknowledged Michael's permission. A surge of power emanated from him as he focused his energy on Gaia, releasing the frozen time around her. The world around her gradually unfroze, returning to its natural flow. Gaia blinked in surprise as the surroundings came back to life. She felt a gentle warmth enveloping her, as if an ethereal presence had entered the space. And then, she heard a familiar voice, a voice that stirred memories and emotions deep within her heart. The current Michael respectfully stepped aside, allowing the previous Dark Lord to approach Gaia. The ethereal figure floated gently before her, a poignant expression of love and longing etched upon his spectral features. Resetting the very fabric of the universe, rewriting time itself, all to have this single moment with you. It is a price I willingly paid, he whispered, his voice filled with a mixture of longing and contentment. The lines etched upon his ghostly visage told tales of hardship and determination, of a love that defied the boundaries of existence. The currents of time seemed to stand still, as the previous Dark Lord and Gaia remained locked in a gaze that spoke volumes, words unspoken yet understood. Thank you, Gaia. Your love and understanding give me solace in the knowledge that our connection transcends time itself. You are the flame that will forever burn in my heart. I have seen countless timelines and you loved me more than I loved you in every single one. As the previous Dark Lord spoke these words, his voice started to stutter. As their conversation drew to a close, Gaia could sense the ethereal presence of the previous Dark Lord fading away. But the love they shared remained, a timeless bond that defied the constraints of reality. With a heavy heart, the previous Dark Lord whispered his final words. Goodbye, Gaia. I will always be with you and always love you. Although the current Gaia had no recollection of the previous Gaia's experiences with the previous Dark Lord, a deep sense of love and connection resonated within her. As tears welled up in her eyes, she gazed into the ethereal eyes of the fading form before her. In that poignant moment, she could feel the weight of their shared history and the immense love that had transcended time. The tears spilled over, rolling down her cheeks as she silently bid farewell to the previous Dark Lord, knowing that their love would forever remain etched in the depths of her soul. As the form of the previous Dark Lord began to fade, Gaia and Michael approached him, their faces filled with a mix of gratitude and sadness. They stood side by side, their hands gently clasped, as they bid farewell to the one who had orchestrated their path and sacrificed so much for their sake. "Thank you," Gaia whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for everything. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten." Michael nodded in agreement, his voice filled with gratitude. "Rest in peace, Michael." "I got this," the previous Dark Lord smiled, his ethereal presence growing fainter with each passing moment. "Remember, the future is yours to shape. Embrace the darkness, cherish the love, and hold your family close." With a final nod of understanding, Gaia and Michael watched as the form of the previous Dark Lord dissipated into the ethereal realm. Though their hearts were heavy with the weight of his absence, they carried his teachings and love within them as they prepared to face the challenges that lay ahead. When the ethereal form of the previous Dark Lord dissipated into the air, a small metallic black skull materialized on the ground where he had been floating. Its intricate design reflected an aura of ancient power and mysterious knowledge. Michael's eyes widened as he beheld the enigmatic artifact, drawn to its presence. With a mix of anticipation and trepidation, Michael reached down and picked up the skull, feeling its cool, smooth surface against his palm. As soon as he held it, a surge of energy coursed through his being. Visions flashed in his mind, revealing a portal shimmering with otherworldly light. "What is it?" Gaia asked. Gaia, still reeling from the emotional farewell with the previous Dark Lord, turned her attention to the floating ball of light beside her. It was Nightmare's soul, a delicate and powerful essence that held a part of their dear friend within it. A sense of responsibility washed over her, urging her to ensure its safekeeping. Curiosity tinged with confusion filled Buzz's eyes as he observed Michael and Gaia, waiting for an explanation. Michael, realizing the weight of the task at hand, looked at Buzz with a determined gaze, his voice filled with purpose. Gaia stood in complete disbelief upon hearing Michael's request to entrust Nightmare's soul to Buzz, a mosquito who often portrayed himself as a fearless warrior despite his cowardly nature. However, deep down, Gaia understood that if Michael had chosen Buzz for this crucial task, there must be a valid reason behind it. "Buzz, we need your help. This soul," Michael gestured towards the radiant orb, "belongs to Nightmare. We entrust you with its safekeeping until we return to the realm of hell. Keep it with you, protect it, and ensure its preservation until we can bring it back to our world." Buzz's compound eyes widened even further as Michael's request sank in. He glanced at the radiant orb, then back at Michael, desperately searching for a way out of this responsibility. His wings buzzed nervously as he began to stammer and mumble, trying to come up with excuses. "Michael, I'd love to help really, I would," Buzz started, his voice shaky. "But you see I have this, important mission to, rid the realm of hell of pesky fleas." "Yes, fleas. They're terrorizing the underworld, and only a fearless warrior like me can defeat them." Meanwhile, Gaia, shocked and concerned about entrusting Nightmare's soul to Buzz, couldn't contain her worries any longer. She pulled Michael to the side, her voice filled with apprehension. "Michael, are you sure about this? I mean Buzz. He's not exactly the most reliable choice for such an important task. Are we really putting the fate of Nightmare's soul in his hands?" Michael's expression remained serious as he met Gaia's concerned gaze. "I understand your reservations, Gaia, but believe me, this is the best way." Before Michael faded away, he advised me to entrust Nightmare's soul with Buzz. "It may seem unconventional, but we have to trust him." Gaia furrowed her brows, contemplating Michael's words. She knew that the previous Dark Lord had unrivaled knowledge and foresight. If he had specifically mentioned Buzz, there must have been a reason behind it. "But Michael," Gaia pressed, her voice filled with lingering doubt, "Buzz is a coward. How can we expect him to protect something so precious? It just doesn't add up." Michael sighed, understanding Gaia's concerns. "I know it seems counterintuitive, but Michael's words emphasize that sometimes courage hides behind a facade of fear. Buzz may not appear heroic, but he possesses something that can surprise us all. Besides, I don't see a way of bringing Nightmare's soul back to our world. Remember what Eladir said, a soul cannot pass through a teleportation portal without special rituals." Gaia looked at Buzz, who was still trying to muster the courage to accept the responsibility, and then back at Michael. Reluctantly, she nodded, her expression filled with a mixture of worry and hope. "All right, Michael, I'll trust your judgment." If he believed in Buzz, then perhaps there's more to him than meets the eye. I just hope he doesn't accidentally squish the soul or get distracted by a passing firefly. Michael chuckled, appreciating Gaia's humor in the face of uncertainty. Finally, Michael returned to Buzz and asked him one more time to take Nightmare's soul with him. End of the day, Buzz knew the realm of hell better than Michael and Gaia. Gaia's reluctant trust in Michael's judgment hung in the air as Michael turned back to Buzz. The giant mosquito was still fidgeting nervously, his wings buzzing in agitation. Michael took a deep breath and approached Buzz, his voice firm but gentle. "Buzz, I understand your concerns, but we have no choice. You possess knowledge of the realm of hell that Gaia and I lack. You know its intricacies and hidden dangers. It's essential that you take Nightmare's soul with you." Buzz's wings buzzed with nervous energy as he scratched the back of his head, trying to come up with another excuse. "You see, Michael, I appreciate the confidence you have in me, but I just remembered that I have a prior commitment to exterminating pesky vampire bats in the underworld." "Yes, that's it." Michael raised an eyebrow, a glimmer of amusement dancing in his eyes. "Buzz, you may pretend to be fearless, but we both know you'd rather buzz away from danger than confront it head-on." Buzz tried to maintain his faux bravado, puffing out his miniature chest. "Well, Michael, that's just an unfair characterization of my heroism. You see, I possess a tactical retreat strategy that is unparalleled in the all-hell. It's called strategic buzzing away." Michael pondered for a moment, his mind working through various approaches to convince Buzz. Suddenly, an idea struck him. A way to tap into the mosquito's desires and manipulate his interests. "Buzz," Michael said, his voice filled with a newfound enthusiasm, "if you agree to take on this task and protect Nightmare's soul, I will use my influence to free you from the clutches of hell. No longer will you be confined to this godforsaken place that you so despise. Imagine, Buzz, a life outside of hell's torment and misery." Buzz's compound eyes widened at the mention of escaping hell. The thought of leaving behind the eternal flames and the constant buzzing of restless souls ignited a spark of hope within him. His wings buzzed with excitement as he imagined a life beyond the torment of his current existence. "And that's not all," Michael continued, his voice carrying an air of mischief. "In my world, you will be revered as a great and fearless warrior. Picture this, Buzz, beautiful girls from every kingdom, lined up to be with you. They'll be mesmerized by your tales of heroic deeds and your legendary status. You'll have your pick, every single day." As the words settled in, Buzz's compound eyes glistened with anticipation. The mere mention of beautiful girls had him hooked. Thoughts of being the center of attention, adored by admirers, and surrounded by a bevy of royal suitors filled his imagination. "Really?" Buzz stammered, his wings fluttering with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "You mean I could have all that? Freedom from this inferno and an endless supply of adoring ladies?" Michael nodded, his expression playing up the allure of the proposition. "Absolutely, Buzz. It's yours for the taking. All you need to do is agree to safeguard Nightmare's soul and ensure its preservation. The rewards that await you are beyond your wildest dreams." Buzz's comical facade crumbled completely as he imagined himself basking in the glory of his newfound heroism and the attention of countless beautiful ladies. He couldn't resist the temptation, and a mischievous grin spread across his mosquito face. "Oh, Michael, you had me at beautiful girls," Buzz exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "Who needs that cheating bitch of a girlfriend of mine when I can have a harem of heaven-defying beauties? I'll need to get a notepad to keep track of them all. This is going to give me quite the headache, but it's a headache I'm willing to endure." Gaia couldn't help but laugh at Buzz's overzealous response. She shook her head, a mixture of amusement and disbelief on her face. "Oh, Buzz, I'm sure it will be such a burden for you to choose from your legion of adoring ladies. Don't strain yourself too much." Michael couldn't contain his amusement either, chuckling at Buzz's exaggerated excitement. He patted Buzz's tiny shoulder, his voice filled with a hint of mischief. "Remember, Buzz, with great power comes great responsibility. You'll have to navigate the treacherous waters of your newfound popularity. But fear not, for we will be there to guide you." Buzz nodded eagerly, his wings buzzing with anticipation. "Absolutely, Michael. I'm ready for the challenges that come with being a legendary warrior with a horde of devoted fans." I'll take on this responsibility with all the courage I can muster. As the trio set off on their journey, Michael couldn't help but marvel at his successful manipulation. He had tapped into Buzz's desires and used them to motivate the hesitant mosquito. Little did Buzz know that the world Michael promised might not be exactly as he imagined. Still, Michael couldn't deny the satisfaction of seeing Buzz's genuine excitement and willingness to take on the task. Chapter 957. Leaving the Realm of Hell. New AHSS chapters are out. Please read them and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Nightmare's soul appeared to possess a sense of sentience as it floated alongside the trio, following them toward the portal that had been opened by the previous Dark Lord. As Michael and Gaia approached the portal, Gaia turned towards the radiant orb of light, her voice filled with affection. "Goodbye for now, little lizard," Gaia said softly, her tone carrying a mixture of reassurance and longing. "I promise you, we will return soon to bring you out of this wretched place. Hang in there." Buzz, unable to resist the opportunity for another witty comment, interjected with a mischievous grin on his mosquito face. "And don't worry, soul buddy. While they're gone, I'll be here protecting you from all the fiendish hellwalkers in hell. They won't dare lay a hand on you." Michael rolled his eyes, accustomed to Buzz's humorous remarks, but couldn't help but chuckle. "Buzz, I assure you, Nightmare's soul will be safe in your capable, well, your hands," he replied, adding a touch of sarcasm to his words. Buzz, always the opportunist when it came to matters of beauty, couldn't help but bring up the subject again. "By the way, Michael, when I come to your world, are there any other handsome mosquitoes that I should be worried about? I wouldn't want any competition when it comes to attracting all those lovely ladies." Michael couldn't help but shake his head, a smirk playing on his lips. "Buzz, my dear friend, you will be the epitome of mosquito handsomeness in my world. There won't be any rivals for your charm and wit, I can assure you." Buzz's compound eyes lit up with excitement, and he straightened his giant frame, puffing out his chest. "Ah, excellent. Just as I suspected. No mosquito can compare to my dazzling allure. Brace yourselves, ladies, for the legendary Buzz, the suavest mosquito warrior in all the realms." Gaia and Michael exchanged amused glances, realizing that Buzz's sense of self-confidence was as exaggerated as ever. But at that moment, they couldn't help but appreciate the camaraderie and light-heartedness Buzz brought to their mission. As the trio prepared to part ways, Michael and Gaia entered the portal while Buzz remained behind in the realm of hell. Buzz waved them off with a comical flourish of his wings. "Farewell, my courageous companions. I'll keep Nightmare's soul safe and sound. And when you return, be prepared to hear tales of my heroic escapades and conquests." With that, they bid their temporary goodbyes, each filled with their own hopes and fears for the journey ahead. Little did they know that the road they were embarking on would be fraught with danger, surprises, and the undeniable charm of a mosquito who pretended to be a fearless warrior. A year had passed in the outside world since Michael and Gaia had ventured into the realm of hell. The passage of time within the infernal realm was distorted, with every hour spent there equivalent to a month in the world beyond. Thus, although Michael's actual presence in hell lasted only 12 hours, a significant year had elapsed in the realm of mortals. The floating mountain, Michael's majestic abode, stood as a breathtaking spectacle amidst the tumultuous dark ocean. It defied gravity, hovering with an air of both mystique and grandeur. Shaped like an enormous sword, the mountain seemed to pierce the very heavens, its towering form commanding attention and awe. From afar, one could witness the castle that adorned the floating mountain, an ambitious construction project undertaken by diligent dwarves. However, the castle's completion had been halted prematurely, leaving it only a third finished. The architectural marvel appeared as a blend of craftsmanship and exposed scaffolding, showcasing the aspirations and work-in-progress nature of its creation. The floating mountain remained suspended above the dark ocean, a tumultuous expanse where tempestuous forces reigned supreme. Endless storm clouds cast an eerie ambience, shrouding the sky in perpetual darkness. Lightning crackled across the firmament, illuminating the churning waves below. Tornadoes spun wildly, their spiraling fury whipping up powerful winds that howled through the expanse. The dark ocean, in all its tumult, was a sight to behold. The waters roiled with ferocity, churning with monstrous waves that crashed against each other in a tumultuous dance. Foam and mist sprayed into the air, caught in the relentless assault of the raging storm. It was a place where chaos and power intermingled, reflecting the nature of the Dark Lord who resided within the floating mountain. As one gazed upon the scene, The imposing presence of the floating mountain and the dark ocean invoked a sense of both dread and fascination. It was a testament to the might and dominion of the god of darkness, an embodiment of the formidable forces that lay under his control. The vampires, members of the Dark Lord's formidable army, swirled through the air around the floating mountain in an intricate dance. Clad in flowing black robes that trailed behind them, they seemed to meld seamlessly with the shadows, their presence both stealthy and foreboding. As they patrolled the mountain, the vampires moved with an ethereal grace, their movements fluid and precise. Their pale complexions stood out against the dark backdrop, giving them an otherworldly appearance. The absence of wings did not hinder their aerial maneuvers. Instead, they seemed to glide effortlessly through the air, defying gravity with an unearthly prowess. Their vigilant eyes scanned the surroundings, their gaze piercing through the shrouds of darkness. Each vampire possessed heightened senses, ever alert to any potential threats. Their allegiance to the Dark Lord bound them together, their loyalty unwavering as they carried out their duties. Unbeknownst to the vampires, a change was on the horizon. They continued their patrol, unaware that the Dark Lord was on the precipice of returning from the depths of hell. The imminent arrival of their leader would soon bring upheaval and renewed purpose to their ranks, altering the very fabric of their existence. Eladir diligently labored over a device adorned with intricate runes within the portal room. Unbeknownst to him, his task was on the verge of being rendered obsolete, for the Dark Lord Michael was on the brink of returning to their world. As Eladir immersed himself in the delicate intricacies of the runes, a sudden surge of energy rippled through the portal and set the silver outline ablaze with an ethereal glow. Startled, Eladir staggered backward as the portal radiated an intense brilliance, casting a cascade of shimmering lights across the room. A swirling vortex, dark as the abyss itself, materialized within the portal's confines. Powerful winds gushed forth, ruffling Eladir's golden robes and tousling his brown hair. He could scarcely believe his eyes as two figures emerged from the tumultuous vortex. It was none other than his esteemed lord, the Dark Lord, and his queen, the enigmatic Dark Queen Gaia. Gasping in astonishment, Eladir stood transfixed, his heart pounding within his chest. The sight of their return was a revelation, their imposing presence casting an aura of both power and authority upon the room. The Dark Lord, cloaked in darkness, exuded an aura of commanding strength, while the Dark Queen, a vision of ethereal beauty, radiated an air of mysterious allure. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as the long-awaited reunion between master and loyal servant unfolded within the portal room. Eladir stood frozen in stunned disbelief, his mind struggling to process the sight before him. It took him several heartbeats to comprehend that the Dark Lord, his master and dear friend, had returned. Overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, Eladir's astonishment gave way to overwhelming joy and relief. With a surge of determination, he rushed toward Michael, his loyal heart brimming with love and respect. "My lord, my lady, you have returned," Eladir exclaimed, his voice laced with a mixture of astonishment and reverence. To the outside world, Michael was the fearsome Dark Lord, a figure of terror and power. But to Eladir he was more than that. He was like a son and a student. The bond they shared was one of mentorship and kinship, making Michael's sudden reappearance a flood of conflicting emotions for Eladir. Unaware of the passage of time, Michael was taken aback by Eladir's state. Confusion flickered in his eyes as he absorbed the sight of his devoted mentor kneeling before him. Only then did he realize the magnitude of his absence and its impact on those who cared for him. Overwhelmed by a sense of both gratitude and guilt, Michael extended a hand to Eladir, urging him to rise. Observing Eladir's reaction, a furrow formed on Michael's brow as he realized the potential implications of their time apart. With a sinking feeling in his gut, he braced himself for the shocking revelation that was about to unfold. "How long was I gone?" Michael's voice carried a mix of trepidation and anticipation as he turned to Eladir, his trusted mentor. Eladir's reply hung heavily in the air, stunning both Gaia and Michael with its weight. "A year, my lord," he answered, his voice filled with a mix of respect and concern. "Fuck!" Gaia's exclamation punctuated the room, her frustration and disbelief echoing in the air. The impact of the news hit Michael like a bolt of lightning, his mind racing to comprehend the implications of an entire year lost to the realms beyond. A swirl of thoughts and emotions coursed through Michael's mind. He couldn't help but wonder what had transpired in their absence, what changes had taken place, and what challenges awaited them. The weight of the unknown loomed heavy upon his shoulders, and a sense of urgency ignited within him. As the presence of his master engulfed the room, Azazel, the loyal demon butler, materialized before Michael, his eyes filled with reverence. With a graceful genuflection, he knelt down, recognizing the return of his esteemed lord. "My lord," Azazel's voice resonated with deference and dedication. Michael's expression turned serious, his focus shifting to the pressing matters at hand. He acknowledged Azazel's presence but wasted no time with pleasantries. His voice carried an authoritative tone as he issued his command. "Summon everyone to the meeting hall immediately," Michael declared, his words brooking no opposition. "I want to know everything that happened while we were gone." Eladir and Azazel, both aware of the urgency in Michael's voice, nodded in unison, understanding the gravity of the situation. They swiftly rose to their feet, their unwavering loyalty shining through their determined gazes. Without a word, they departed from the room, each tasked with the responsibility of gathering the necessary individuals and relaying Michael's order. After Azazel and Eladir left the room, another figure entered, and to Michael's pleasant surprise, it was Eve, his dearest friend. The sight of her warmed his heart, and a genuine smile spread across his face. When Eve saw Michael and Gaia alive and well, her emotions overcame her, and she hurriedly made her way toward them. Eve's eyes shimmered with tears of relief, mirroring the overwhelming joy that radiated from her. With each step, her pace quickened, driven by a deep longing to hold them both tightly in her embrace. Finally reaching them, she enveloped Michael and Gaia in a heartfelt hug, her grip conveying the depth of her emotions. Tears streamed down Eve's face as she clung to them, her voice quivering with a mixture of happiness, worry, and affection. "I knew it. I just knew it. You didn't leave me. You bastards. Promise me you won't scare me like that again." Her words were infused with a playful scolding, a testament to their unbreakable bond and the relief she felt at their safe return. As Eve tightly embraced Michael, another presence entered the room, but this time it was not a human. In a flurry of excitement, Vidora, the three-headed Hydra, made their entrance. "You fucking bastards!" The sudden exclamation from Iag's head interrupted Eve's embrace, drawing everyone's attention. Gazing at Vidora, Gaia couldn't help but smile, knowing the affectionate nature of the Hydra. With a burst of energy, Vidora soared through the air, flapping their tiny wings, until they crashed into Gaia, showering her with wet kisses. Each head nuzzled Gaia, expressing their deep longing and how much they had missed her during the past year. Gaia reciprocated their love, her laughter filling the room as she was playfully smothered with affection. Vidora's heads then turned their attention to Michael, leaping from Gaia to him, eager to bestow upon him the same treatment of kisses and hugs. Even Iag, known for their usual quick temper and sharp tongue, joined in, expressing her fondness for Michael through their unexpected displays of affection. The room was filled with a joyous reunion, where the bond between Gaia, Michael, and Vidora was reaffirmed. The Hydra's presence brought an undeniable warmth to the atmosphere, reminding them all of the love and companionship they shared, regardless of their different forms. "We have found Nightmare," Gaia's words pierced through the joyous atmosphere, and Vidora's shower of kisses came to an abrupt halt. As Gaia announced the discovery of Nightmare, Vidora's three heads froze in place, their eyes locked on Gaia with unwavering intensity. "What?" Iag's voice trembled with disbelief, mirroring the surge of emotions that welled up within Vidora's heart. Though Vidora was a Hydra and Nightmare a dragon, the bond they shared was akin to that of siblings. It was only after Nightmare's untimely demise that Vidora realized the depth of their love for him. Now, upon hearing Gaia's revelation, a whirlwind of emotions swept through their being. At that moment, Sarba, Iag and Cain, each head of Vidora, experienced a surge of conflicting feelings. Hope intermingled with lingering grief, and the bittersweet taste of longing permeated their thoughts. They had missed Nightmare dearly, and the mere possibility of his return ignited a flicker of hope within their hearts. Vidora's heads, usually lively and animated, now remained motionless, their expressions filled with a mix of anticipation, disbelief, and a longing for the reunion they had never thought possible. Their eyes, reflecting a complex tapestry of emotions, conveyed a silent plea for confirmation, yearning to be assured that Nightmare's soul had indeed been found. As the room filled with anticipation and Vidora's emotions swirled in the wake of Gaia's announcement, Eve stood frozen in place, her eyes widening with a mixture of shock and disbelief. The words echoed in her mind, and her heart skipped a beat as the weight of the news sank in. A torrent of emotions washed over Eve, leaving her momentarily speechless. She had thought Nightmare was lost forever, never to be seen again. The thought of his return, even if only his soul, was nothing short of miraculous. Eve's hands instinctively clutched at her chest as her breathing grew shallow, struggling to comprehend the enormity of the revelation. With trembling hands, Eve reached out for Gaia's arm, her voice barely a whisper. You found him? Nightmare. He's really coming back? Gaia nodded solemnly, her eyes filled with understanding. She grasped Eve's hand in a reassuring gesture, offering her a silent comfort amidst the overwhelming emotions. Though Gaia couldn't reveal the full extent of their journey to hell and their challenges just yet, she knew that the news carried a weight that couldn't be taken lightly. Later, I will share the full story with you. But right now, I need to catch up on everything that happened while I was away, Michael stated, his voice filled with determination as he led the way out of the room. By his side, Eve, his loyal and trusted best friend, and Gaia, his beloved partner, walked alongside him. Perched atop his shoulder, Vidora, the three-headed Hydra, remained vigilant and attentive. As they made their way through the corridors, a sense of urgency filled the air. Michael's absence had left a void, and now he sought to fill it with the knowledge of what transpired during his time away. Chapter 958. Skyhall's Execution Team. New AHSS chapters are out. Please read them and let me know your thoughts in the comments. As Michael and Gaia entered the meeting hall, a hushed silence fell upon their subordinates who were gathered around the large, dark chamber. The room exuded an air of mystery, with dimly lit torches casting flickering shadows on the stone walls. A round stone table dominated the center of the hall, its surface adorned with intricate engravings depicting a colossal skull. The table served as a solemn centerpiece, symbolizing the gravity of the discussions that took place within these walls. The subordinates, their faces etched with astonishment and disbelief, occupied their seats around the table. The thrones, crafted from the bones and skulls of long-forgotten creatures, stood as eerie reminders of the power and authority that resided within this chamber. Each throne was meticulously placed, awaiting the arrival of their leaders, the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen. As their gazes fixed upon Michael and Gaia, a mixture of shock, disbelief, and relief swept through the room. The subordinates had endured a year filled with uncertainty, believing their Dark Lord and Dark Queen had perished in Nagaland under the devastating assault of a mysterious ship's energy beam. Yet, here they stood, alive and resolute, defying the expectations of the world that presumed them lost. Arya, the Queen of Shadows, scanned the room with her piercing eyes, her demeanor reflecting a blend of determination and loyalty. Maxine, the Queen of Power, wore a resolute expression, ready to unleash her talents in service of their cause. Tiberius, the King of War, sat tall and formidable, embodying strength and unwavering resolve. Dalar, the King of the Undead, exuded an aura of darkness and mystery, his undead minions lurking in the shadows. Sadie, the Queen of Whispers, observed the scene with a calculating gaze, aware of the secret she held and the power they conferred. The remaining subordinates, Ricky, Titus, Optimus, Corey, Gibson, Saber, and Trista, each bore their own emotions: shock, gratitude, curiosity, and a renewed sense of purpose. They had weathered the storm of uncertainty in their leader's absence, uncertain of what the future held. And now, as they witnessed Michael and Gaia's return, a glimmer of hope ignited within their hearts. The absence of Caius and Adelia did not dampen the significance of the moment, for the presence of their esteemed leaders alone ignited a renewed sense of purpose and hope within their hearts. The air crackled with anticipation, and the room filled with palpable energy. The subordinates were keenly aware that this moment marked a turning point, a chance to rebuild, establish order, and fulfill their roles in the grand design orchestrated by the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen. Michael scanned the room and saw the countless questions each subordinate had and their shocked looks. But what made Michael feel unease was the absence of Adelia and Caius. He approached his throne as Azazel took a step forward and stood behind Michael and Gaia's thrones as they sat down. Once Michael took his throne, he locked his gaze with his subordinates. Michael's gaze swept across the room, taking in the multitude of questioning eyes and stunned expressions on the faces of his subordinates. The air crackled with an undercurrent of unease, amplified by the absence of Adelia and Caius. A sense of foreboding settled over him, intensifying his determination to uncover the truth. Stepping forward, he approached his throne with Azazel, his loyal demon butler, standing firmly behind, offering unwavering support to their rulers. As Michael settled onto his throne, the weight of his gaze bore into the subordinates, demanding an answer. "Where is Adelia and Caius?" Michael asked. The weight of the silence pressed upon them, as if each subordinate hesitated to answer the pressing question regarding Adelia and Caius. It was an uncomfortable pause, brimming with unspoken truths. Unable to bear the silence any longer, Gaia's voice pierced the air like an icy blade, her tone cold and commanding. The resounding thud of her hand slamming against the stone table jolted the room, capturing the attention of everyone present. "Where is my mother?" Gaia coldly growled. The subordinates flinched, their bodies involuntarily reacting to the sudden display of authority. Gaia's question reverberated through the room, each word dripping with determination and concern for her missing mother. A sense of urgency underscored her cold growl, fueling the tension that hung heavy in the air. Finally, Azazel, ever faithful and observant, mustered the courage to respond. His voice carried a hint of reluctance as he relayed the troubling information. "My lady, she left the castle without warning last week," Azazel spoke, his voice filled with a mix of respect and unease. "Despite my efforts to dissuade her, she remained resolute, even going so far as to remove her spider necklace." The revelation hung heavily in the air, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the room. The significance of Adelia's sudden departure, and her deliberate act of severing ties with the order left an unsettling void. Michael's mind raced with questions, his thoughts intertwined with a sense of urgency and worry. The absence of Adelia, Gaia's mother and a vital member of their collective, only added to the complexities they faced. "She can take care of herself," Michael reassured Gaia. Despite Gaia's inherent knowledge of her mother's strength, Michael's reassurance brought her a sense of solace. Adelia, being a half-immortal on the cusp of reaching the immortal stage, possessed a power that few could match. Gaia's anxiety began to dissipate as she absorbed Michael's unwavering confidence. With a brief exchange of glances, their unspoken understanding was reaffirmed, and Michael redirected his attention to the gathered subordinates. As his gaze traversed the room, Michael's piercing eyes locked onto Sadie, his trusted source of information. "Sadie, where is Caius?" The weight of his inquiry hung in the air, the silence echoing with anticipation. Sadie, visibly trembling, summoned her courage and took a deep breath before delivering her response. "The Sky Hall. They hanged him alive, my lord. Caius is no longer among us." Sadie's voice carried a somber weight, her words piercing the heavy silence that had enveloped the room. Gaia's reaction was immediate, her features contorted with a mix of shock and fury. The room seemed to shudder in response, as if reflecting her emotions. The torches lining the walls flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced upon the stone surfaces. At that moment, ominous darkness seemed to envelop the chamber, amplifying the gravity of the news. The realization of Caius' demise, a loyal member of their ranks, ignited a flame of fury within Gaia, its intensity threatening to consume her. Yet, amidst the storm of emotions, Michael remained resolute, his countenance betraying little of the turmoil that churned within. His gaze held an eerie stillness, a mask of detached composure. And as the torches flickered and momentary darkness shrouded the room, a sense of foreboding descended, an intangible darkness that mirrored the anguish that seeped into their collective consciousness. In that instant, the subordinates witnessed the contrasting reactions of their leaders. Gaia's anger, palpable and unrestrained, collided with Michael's cold detachment. Michael's piercing gaze swept across the room, his voice laced with an icy calmness as he addressed his subordinates. The weight of their presence and the gravity of the news hung heavy in the air, demanding answers. "Tell me, what else happened in our absence?" Michael's words cut through the lingering silence, his tone brooking no resistance. Maxine, with her keen knowledge of the world's affairs, was the first to speak up. Her voice trembled slightly as she relayed the disconcerting events that unfolded during their absence. "The Sky Hall, my lord, accused Caius of collaborating with you, serving as your ally. In response, they dispatched a specialized execution team that hanged Caius and the senators of Kingdom Giselle and Maven." Maxine's voice carried a mixture of grief and anger, the loss of a trusted comrade weighing heavily upon her words. After Maxine, Sadie spoke up. Her eyes shimmered with a hint of darkness. She added to the growing list of unsettling changes that had occurred. "Not only that, my lord, but the Sky Hall also dismantled all the sects across the realm. They forced the disciples to attend academies in the Ukilun realm, including Mazeroth, for further cultivation and training. The prestigious Sunrise sect, where you were once a student, was not spared. Fortunately, we were able to bring sect leader Claire to the castle before the Sky Hall could arrest her. But the elders and Claire's grandfather Christopher was not so lucky," said Sadie. As the words hung in the air, Michael's face remained stoic, betraying no hint of emotion. Yet, deep within his eyes, a storm brewed. The news of Skyhall's actions, particularly the dismantling of the sects, struck a raw nerve within him. The darkness that surrounded them seemed to grow denser, almost palpable, mirroring the weight of his thoughts. His grip tightened on the armrest of his throne, his fingers digging into the cold, unforgiving bone. The room, already shrouded in darkness, seemed to absorb the news, amplifying the sense of foreboding that filled the air. It was as if the shadows themselves were drawn closer, seeking solace in their master's unyielding presence. Fortunately, we managed to bring sect leader Claire to the safety of the castle before the Sky Hall could apprehend her. However, the elders and Claire's grandfather Christopher were not as fortunate, Sadie informed Michael, her voice tinged with a mix of relief and sorrow. Upon hearing the news, a wave of relief washed over Michael. Sect leader Claire held a special place in his heart, having been like a caring older sister to him during his time in the Sunrise sect. Knowing that she was safe brought a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness that loomed over them. In the depths of his being, Michael silently vowed to himself that he would not rest until he rescued the captured elders and Christopher from the clutches of the Sky Hall. Their unjust fate ignited a fire within him, fueling his determination to dismantle the oppressive power that sought to control and suppress. "What else?" Michael coldly asked as Tiberius continued. His gaze was steady and resolute as he addressed the shattered kingdoms under the Senate's rule. The Senate's kingdoms have been divided and handed over to the 3 kings of the southern continent. Their power has increased, and the balance of authority has shifted. Tiberius' voice resonated with authority, his role as a warrior and leader lending weight to his words. As Michael absorbed the weight of the devastating news, his expression remained eerily calm, unyielding to the torrent of emotions that raged within his subordinates. The room fell into a hushed silence, each member of the order fixated on their leader with incredulous eyes. They had expected rage, despair, or even a flicker of anguish to mar his composed facade, but instead, they were met with a stoic resolve. The shock and astonishment were palpable, hanging heavy in the air like an oppressive fog. Whispers were exchanged among the subordinates. Their voices were hushed with a mix of disbelief and awe. How could the Dark Lord remain so composed, so unfazed by the dire circumstances that had befallen their world? It seemed unfathomable to witness such a display of unwavering composure in the face of overwhelming adversity. Finally, Michael inquired about Noah and his family. What happened to Noah and his family? Michael's voice carried a hint of trepidation as he inquired about Noah and his family. The subordinates exchanged uneasy glances, well aware of the complex history that had unfolded a year ago in Nagaland. It had been revealed that Noah Winston, the supreme guardian entrusted with the task of vanquishing the Dark Lord, was in fact Michael's long-lost brother. The revelation had shaken their world to its core, and the truth had come to light through Diana, who had unveiled herself as Michael's mother. However, the aftermath of this revelation was fraught with tension and unresolved emotions. Michael had steadfastly refused to acknowledge the Winstons as his family, unable to forgive Diana for the decision she had made, casting him aside and sending him to Earth when he was just an infant. This refusal to accept them as his kin hung heavily in the air, casting a shadow over any discussion involving Noah and his family. The subordinates hesitated, their expressions mirroring the delicate nature of the topic at hand. It was a tightrope they navigated, torn between loyalty to their leader and the intricate web of familial ties that had been unveiled. Eyes darted back and forth, seeking guidance or permission to speak on the matter, yet apprehension lingered in the room like an unwelcome guest. After a tense pause, it was Sadie who mustered the courage to address Michael's query, her voice laced with caution. "My lord," Sadie began, her voice tinged with trepidation, "Noah and his family. The elders and the Alpha Guardians have relieved Noah of his duties as the Supreme Guardian. The Sky Hall's execution team has apprehended Ethan Winston and the others, but their current whereabouts remain unknown. Rowena Winston, regrettably, has been missing since the events in Nagaland. Rumors circulate that Sabrina Winston has been taken to Mazeroth, and as for Diana Winston, her fate remains a mystery." The words hung in the air, each syllable laden with uncertainty and a sense of foreboding. The room seemed to grow darker, the torchlight flickering as if mirroring the clouded fate of Noah and his family. The subordinates, their expressions a mix of concern and sympathy, awaited Michael's reaction, unsure of how he would process this troubling information. Gaia turned her gaze towards Sadie, her voice laced with concern. "Sadie, do you have any information regarding Noah's whereabouts?" Sadie hesitated for a moment, her eyes reflecting the weight of uncertainty. "I'm afraid we don't have any concrete information, my lady. There are rumors circulating that the Sky Hall's execution team has been actively searching for both Rowena Winston and Noah Winston." Without a flicker of remorse or pity, Michael calmly responded to Saber's inquiry about Quintus and the missing armor pieces. His gaze remained steady and unwavering as he addressed his subordinate. "Regrettably, I was unable to retrieve Quintus or the pieces of my armor. Have you gathered any information regarding his whereabouts and the status of the armor pieces?" Michael's voice held a tone of detached curiosity. Saber, the elder vampire, met Michael's gaze and relayed the disheartening news. "My lord, it appears that Quintus has aligned himself with the Sky Hall's execution team. With their assistance, he has managed to integrate the two armor pieces into his own armor. He subsequently led an assault against the armies of Giselle and Maven. We were unable to intervene due to the overwhelming presence of the Sky Hall fleet. Engaging them would have resulted in significant casualties among our forces. So the rat has come out of its hole and joined the Sky Hall." A sinister smile crept across Michael's face as he absorbed the revelation of Quintus' alliance with the Sky Hall. It was as if a rat had finally emerged from its hiding place, only to align itself with the very entity that sought to oppose him. The news stirred a mix of emotions within him, a concoction of triumph and excitement. Thoughts raced through Michael's mind, each one a thread in the tapestry of his intricate plans. He felt a surge of confidence, a sense of being back in control, and the looming presence of the Sky Hall no longer held sway over his determination. His status as a half-celestial, a being of immense power, bolstered his assurance and emboldened his resolve. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Michael stood at the pinnacle of his game. The challenges that lay before him no longer held the same fear they once did. He knew that his every action would be strategic and calculated, guided by his unwavering conviction and his unwavering commitment to his ultimate goal. The Sky Hall may have thought they had gained an advantage, but little did they know that they had only provoked the wrath of a half-celestial who would stop at nothing to reclaim what was rightfully his. The devilish grin on Michael's face hinted at the darkness that resided within him, a force that had been dormant for far too long. The time for vengeance and retribution was drawing near, and Michael was prepared to seize the opportunity with unwavering determination. The rat had emerged from its hole, unaware of the predator lurking in the shadows, ready to strike at the opportune moment. Chapter 959. The wedding preparation has begun. New AHSS chapters are out. Please read them and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Enough with the bad news. I formed this order to hear something intriguing. Do any of you have any interesting updates? Michael calmly inquired, his eyes fixed on his subordinates. To his relief, his subordinates had been diligent in gathering information that would captivate the Dark Lord. Sadie, in particular, had utilized her network of spies and collaborated with Arya to eliminate guardians and nobles, uncovering valuable secrets and precious information. "My lord, I bring you a piece of good news." Sadie leaned forward eagerly in her chair. Ever since the Sky Hall's execution team forced Noah out of his role as Supreme Guardian, the Guardian Guild has fallen into disarray. It has splintered into multiple factions, each led by influential guardians vying for power. The guild is now a wounded beast, and it won't be long before these factions tear it apart. One particular faction has made a remarkable discovery on Azer continent, an ancient celestial energy deposit. I have been monitoring their movements closely as they attempt to locate this deposit with the assistance of the Nightwalkers, Sadie explained, choosing to avoid the term vampires in front of the elder vampires. They preferred the term Nightwalkers. "We had actually planned to unearth the energy deposit and present it to you upon your return, but it seems you've come back earlier than anticipated," Sadie expressed with a click of her tongue, realizing her words may have come across as unintentionally negative. However, Michael chuckled in response. "So you weren't quite ready for me to return just yet?" "I see," Michael chuckled, diffusing the tension in the room with a touch of humor. "Oh no, my lord. That's not what I meant," Sadie quickly interjected, scratching the back of her head and offering an apologetic smile. "Trista." Michael shifted his gaze towards the striking red-haired vampire. "Your task is to take care of the guardians on the island and locate the energy deposit. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Lenora. I have already initiated the process of reconstructing her body. It may take some time, but she will be restored to her former self before you know it," Michael declared, leaving Trista stunned. Her eyes shimmered with a mix of gratitude and relief. Trista had been fearful that the Dark Lord had forgotten about Lenora, but it seemed he had not. However, Michael's promise of reconstructing Lenora's body was not an immediate reality. Nonetheless, providing Trista with hope and motivation to fulfill his orders had its own advantages. "I will see to it personally, my lord," Elder Trista affirmed with a smile, revealing her fangs. Turning his gaze back to Sadie, Michael's voice dripped with chilling intensity. "Sadie, I want you to gather every piece of information available about the Great Eight clans," he commanded, a menacing grin spreading across his face. Now that he had achieved the half-celestial stage, Michael had made up his mind to eliminate all the Great Eight clans and establish his reign of darkness. It was time to uproot his enemies and assert his dominance. Michael took a deep breath, allowing the weight of the silence to settle in the hall. His calm demeanor and gentle smile held the attention of his subordinates, who were eagerly awaiting his next words. "I have a special task for all of you," Michael began, his voice filled with a hint of mystery. The subordinates exchanged puzzled glances, wondering what this task could be. Gaia herself was caught off guard, unaware that Michael was about to reveal their secret. "I want you all to come together and create the most magnificent wedding ceremony the world has ever seen," Michael announced, his words causing a wave of astonishment to wash over the room. The subordinates were left in awe, trying to piece together who could be getting married. Even Gaia, caught up in the moment, couldn't help but feel a mixture of surprise and excitement, unaware that the wedding Michael spoke of was their own. With a playful roll of her eyes, Ayag perched atop Michael's shoulder, expressing her impatience. Michael's eyes sparkled with excitement as he addressed his subordinates once again. "Utilize all resources at your disposal and spare no expense." "I want to be amazed," Michael emphasized, his voice filled with anticipation. Michael's gaze shifted towards Gaia, his eyes filled with love and admiration. "I have found the most incredible woman in the world, and I am going to marry her," he declared, his voice filled with genuine affection. Gaia's heart skipped a beat as she locked eyes with Michael, a mixture of surprise and joy shining in her eyes. Gaia's heart swelled with happiness as Michael's words sank in. A radiant smile graced her face, and her eyes sparkled with joy. The thought of their impending wedding filled her with a sense of excitement and anticipation. She couldn't have asked for a more perfect partner than Michael, the man she deeply loved and admired. In that moment, she felt a profound sense of gratitude and contentment, knowing that they were about to embark on a lifelong journey together. As the subordinates observed the exchange between Michael and Gaia, they couldn't help but be captivated by the undeniable chemistry and deep connection that radiated between them. It was as if the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen were destined to be together, their souls intertwined in a bond that transcended time and space. They witnessed the tender way Michael looked at Gaia, and the genuine happiness that filled Gaia's eyes as she gazed back at him. It was evident to everyone in the room that they were witnessing a pair made in heaven, a perfect match in every sense. The subordinates couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and admiration for the love that blossomed between their leaders, and they knew that this union would only strengthen their cause and bring them closer to their shared goals. Eve's heart leaped with delight as she heard the joyful news of Michael and Gaia's impending wedding. She couldn't contain her excitement and a wide smile spread across her face. In that moment, a surge of pure happiness coursed through her veins, and she felt an overwhelming urge to express her joy. Unable to resist the overwhelming emotions, Eve stood up from her chair, her eyes brimming with tears of happiness. Without hesitation, she took a few quick steps and swiftly closed the distance between herself and the couple. With her heart overflowing with love and excitement, she enveloped both Michael and Gaia in a warm, tight embrace. In that tender moment, the trio shared an unspoken bond of friendship and camaraderie. Eve's hug conveyed her genuine happiness for their union and her deep affection for both of them. It was a testament to the unbreakable bond they had formed over the years. As she held them close, the room was filled with an aura of warmth and love, as if their embrace symbolized the unity and support of their loyal friendship. Eve's presence and heartfelt embrace further solidified the joyous atmosphere in the hall. The subordinates watched with smiles on their faces, their hearts touched by the genuine love and friendship displayed before them. They knew that Eve's gesture was a testament to the unbreakable bond shared between these three extraordinary individuals, and they couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of unity and happiness. Eve's eyes sparkled with joy as she held Michael and Gaia in her embrace, and with heartfelt sincerity, she shared her congratulations. "God, you two are finally going to tie the knot. I couldn't be happier for you," Eve exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement and happiness. "You found your perfect match, Ghost." Gaia, You've captured the heart of our mighty Dark Lord. This is a moment to celebrate. Eve continued, her words filled with genuine warmth and affection. I can't think of a more deserving couple to embark on this incredible journey of love and unity, Eve expressed, her voice brimming with admiration. As your best friend, I'll be by your side every step of the way, supporting you both in creating the most enchanting and unforgettable wedding imaginable, Eve vowed, her eyes shining with sincerity. As the news of Michael and Gaia's impending wedding sank in, a wave of excitement and joy swept through the room. The subordinates exchanged glances, their faces beaming with happiness, and one by one, they approached the thrones to offer their heartfelt congratulations. Arya, the Queen of Shadows, stepped gracefully towards them, her voice filled with warmth. Your love is an inspiration to us all. May your wedding be a celebration of light and darkness intertwined, uniting two souls destined to conquer the world together. Maxine, the Queen of Power, beamed with pride. I have witnessed your strength and determination firsthand. Now, let your love shine as brightly as the sun, guiding us all towards a future filled with hope and prosperity. Tiberius, the King of War, stood tall and spoke with unwavering loyalty. You have proven yourselves as formidable leaders. Let your union serve as a symbol of unity, forging alliances and bringing peace to our lands. Dalar, the King of the Undead, approached with a respectful bow. May your love transcend boundaries, just as the darkness embraces all. Together, you shall lead us into a new era, where even the shadows shall find solace. Sadie, the Queen of Whispers, spoke softly, her eyes filled with sincerity. Your love story is like a whispered secret, spreading hope and courage. May your wedding be a symphony of secrets shared, binding us all in unity. Ricky, with his jovial nature, couldn't contain his excitement. Cheers to the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen. Let this wedding be a grand feast, filled with laughter, joy, and everlasting memories. Titus and Optimus, the kings of supplies, shared a knowing smile. In the realm of love, you have found the most valuable treasure. As we provide the materials for your wedding, know that we stand with you, ensuring every detail is perfect. Cori, the Queen of the Seas, raised her voice with enthusiasm. From the depths of the ocean to the heights of the skies, your love will conquer all. May your wedding be a celebration of adventure and boundless possibilities. Gibson, the King of the Skies, expressed his admiration. Your love soars higher than any aircraft. Let your wedding be a testament to the heights we can reach when love guides our path. Saber and Trista also offered their genuine well wishes with smiles and nods, expressing their support and joy for the couple. At that moment, surrounded by their loyal subordinates, Michael and Gaia felt an overwhelming sense of love and unity. The room was filled with congratulations, laughter, and heartfelt blessings, as the Dark Lord and the Dark Queen prepared to embark on a new chapter of their lives together. Michael's countenance shifted as the cheerful atmosphere settled, his smile fading into a serious and determined expression. He stood up from his throne, commanding the attention of his subordinates, who sensed the change in his demeanor. The room grew hushed, and a sense of anticipation filled the air. His voice resonated with intensity as he spoke, his words cutting through the silence like a sharp blade. I want a detailed report on the Sky Hall's execution team. I want to know every name, every face, and every connection they have. I will personally pay them a visit. The gravity of his words weighed heavily in the room, and a sense of unease crept through the subordinates. Michael's unwavering determination was evident, and they knew he meant business. The Dark Lord's thirst for vengeance against those who had wronged him was palpable, and his subordinates braced themselves for the storm that was about to be unleashed upon the Sky Hall's execution team. The subordinates exchanged silent nods, each understanding the importance of their task. They would delve into the depths of their intelligence networks, uncovering every piece of information related to the execution team. This would be a mission of utmost importance as they worked to unravel the web of conspiracies and connections that had led to the downfall of their beloved Guardian Guild. After giving his orders to his subordinates, Michael's gaze returned to his beloved Gaia. He spoke with a firm tone, concern evident in his eyes. You stay here and rest, Gaia. I don't want you to overexert yourself, Michael said, trying to reassure her. Gaia opened her mouth to object, but Michael gently placed his finger on her lips, silencing her. Eve Vidora, I want you to keep a close watch on her, Michael commanded, turning to his loyal friend and his three-headed Hydra companion. Eve nodded with determination. Don't worry, Michael. I won't let her lift a finger. We have plenty to do before the most important day in a girl's life. With a grateful smile, Michael acknowledged Eve's dedication. He gestured for Azazel, his loyal demon butler, to accompany him as he prepared to leave the hall. Just as he was about to step out, Gaia couldn't help but ask the question that lingered in her mind. "Where are you going?" Gaia inquired, her voice filled with curiosity and concern. Michael paused, his eyes flashing with a mixture of determination and a hint of menace. He turned to face Gaia, his expression hardening. "I have unfinished business to attend to. There are things I've left behind, and it's time to reclaim what is rightfully mine," he replied, his voice carrying an undercurrent of unwavering determination. Chapter 960. The Dark Lord's Herbal Garden. Once a bustling and vibrant place, the Sunrise Sect now lay in eerie silence under the embrace of the night sky. The Lust Mountains, cloaked in darkness, loomed over the deserted sect with an air of mystery. The green forests that once flourished with life now appeared as dark shadows, their foliage rustling softly in the night breeze. The paved streets, once bustling with activity, now glistened under the pale moonlight. The intricate patterns and designs etched into the stone seemed to come alive, casting intricate shadows that danced along the empty pathways. The silence was broken only by the faint rustling of leaves and the distant hoots of nocturnal creatures. Where once disciples and cultivators filled the sect buildings, there were now only echoes of the past. The grandeur and opulence that once characterized the Sunrise Sect had faded into the obscurity of the night. The buildings stood as solemn sentinels, their windows dark and their halls empty. Amidst the night's stillness, the tranquility was shattered by the presence of silver-armored soldiers from the Sky Hall. Like phantoms, they patrolled the deserted streets with disciplined steps, their armor glimmering under the moonlight. Their watchful gazes scanned the surroundings, as if guarding the secrets of the abandoned sect. The Sky Hall's dismantling of sects had left its mark on the Sunrise Sect, transforming it into a ghostly shell of its former self. The disciples who once called this place home were scattered, forced to either abandon their cultivation or surrender to the authority of the Sky Hall's designated sections. The sect that was once a beacon of individuality and independence now lay under the watchful eyes of external control. Within the heart of the Sunrise Sect, hidden under the starry night sky, lay Michael's largest herbal garden. Enclosed by a glass dome, it shimmered like a precious gem in the darkness. Moonlight filtered through the transparent structure, casting a soft glow upon the diverse array of exotic plants and herbs that grew within. The herbal garden, once tended to by devoted cultivators, now stood untouched and unappreciated. Its vibrant colors and fragrant scents lingered in the air, a testament to the lost potential of the sect. The glass dome, normally a symbol of protection and growth, now seemed like a cage, trapping the garden's beauty within its confines. Under the enchanting glow of the moonlight, the herbal garden within the glass dome revealed its mesmerizing beauty. The plants and herbs that flourished within seemed to possess a magical allure, their forms vibrant and otherworldly. Tall, slender vines draped from the ceiling, their leaves shimmering with an ethereal radiance. Each leaf, adorned with intricate patterns and delicate veins, seemed to capture the moon's essence, casting a soft luminescence in the darkness. The vines intertwined with one another, forming a tapestry of colors that ranged from vivid greens to deep purples and fiery reds. Clusters of exotic flowers bloomed in every corner. Their petals were delicate and translucent, as if fashioned from moonlight itself. Their fragrances wafted through the air, blending harmoniously to create an intoxicating aroma that awakened the senses. Some flowers emitted a soft, gentle glow, as if carrying the stars within their very essence. Lush, emerald-green shrubs lined the pathways, their leaves glistening with dewdrops that sparkled like miniature stars. They seemed to whisper secrets of ancient knowledge, their presence exuding a sense of wisdom and tranquility. Mysterious herbs with shimmering iridescent leaves sprouted from the ground, their glow illuminating the intricate patterns etched into the stone path. In the center of the herbal garden, a tranquil pond mirrored the twinkling night sky above. Its surface, smooth as glass, reflected the beauty of the surrounding flora, creating a surreal spectacle of vibrant colors and celestial patterns. Magical creatures, unseen in the outside world, flitted about the pond, their iridescent wings casting iridescent reflections upon the water's surface. Within this enchanting sanctuary, the plants thrived under the gentle guidance of nature's forces. Their growth was nurtured by the moon's gentle caress and the celestial energies that permeated the glass dome. It was as if the garden itself held a delicate balance between the earthly and the ethereal, a testament to the ancient wisdom that resided within the Sunrise sect. As the group of Skyhall soldiers patrolled the area around the herbal garden, their silver armor gleaming under the moonlit night, a murmur of conversation filled the air. Their footsteps echoed softly against the paved pathway as they exchanged thoughts in hushed tones. "Have you seen this garden? It's a marvel, a place of beauty unlike anything I've ever seen," remarked one soldier, his voice tinged with awe. "I agree," another soldier chimed in, his gaze fixed upon the glass dome that encased the flourishing sanctuary. "It's a shame that such a precious creation will soon meet its end." A third soldier with a hardened expression interjected, "But we cannot forget that this garden was brought forth by Ghost, the one who is now known as the Dark Lord. The Skyhall has deemed it a threat to our cause." A somber silence fell upon the group as they pondered the impending destruction of the enchanting herbal garden. A soldier, whose eyes betrayed a flicker of sadness, voiced his thoughts with a touch of defiance. "I understand our orders, but it still feels wrong. This place holds so much life and magic. It seems a waste to let it perish." A murmuring agreement rippled through the soldiers, each one grappling with conflicting emotions. They glanced around, ensuring that their conversation remained discreet, their allegiance to the Skyhall overriding their personal opinions. "Remember our duty," a stern voice resonated. "The Dark Lord must be eliminated, and everything associated with him must be erased." "But this garden, it feels like a part of something greater," a soldier whispered, his voice filled with longing. "A symbol of the beauty that can be found even in the darkest of hearts." Their steps grew slower, their eyes glancing back at the glass dome that sheltered the vibrant life within. They could sense the pulsating energy, the living essence that seemed to emanate from the herbal garden. It stirred emotions they thought they had long buried. "Perhaps," one soldier murmured, his voice barely audible. "Perhaps there's more to this than we know. A potential for redemption, even within the Dark Lord himself." The group fell into contemplative silence, their thoughts entwined with uncertainty and the unspoken desire for a different path. But duty bound them to their mission, and the orders of the Skyhall loomed above them, unyielding. With a heavy sigh, one soldier reluctantly broke the silence. "We have a job to do. The garden will not survive the night. Let us fulfill our duty swiftly and leave this place to its fate." And so, the group of Skyhall soldiers continued their patrol, their conflicted hearts weighed down by the knowledge that they would soon be the instruments of destruction, tasked with extinguishing the beauty that thrived within the glass dome. A sense of sorrow mingled with their unwavering loyalty, for they understood the cost of their allegiance and the sacrifice demanded by the path they had chosen. As the soldiers continued their patrol, their eyes scanning the surroundings, a strange sensation rippled through the air. The once radiant moon, casting its gentle glow upon the land, began to dim. Shadows lengthened and darkness spread across the Sunrise mountain chain, shrouding everything in an eerie blackness. A soldier's voice quivered with uncertainty. "What? What is happening? Why is it so dark?" Another soldier glanced up at the sky, his voice laced with apprehension. "Look, the moon. It's gone. There's only darkness up there." Whispers of fear and confusion spread among the soldiers, their gazes fixed upon the void where the moon should have been. The absence of its silvery light sent shivers down their spines, a haunting reminder of the Dark Lord who lurked in the shadows. "Could it be the Dark Lord?" one soldier murmured, his voice filled with trepidation. "Is this his doing?" The darkness seemed to press in on them, filling their hearts with a sense of unease. The soldiers exchanged wary glances, their minds clouded with thoughts of the Dark Lord's power and influence. Another soldier, his voice barely above a whisper, voiced the thoughts that plagued their minds. "We've heard stories, tales of the Dark Lord's ability to command darkness itself. Is this a sign of his imminent presence?" As the soldiers stood in the enveloping darkness, a mixture of fear and awe washed over them. They could not deny the unsettling familiarity of this eerie blackness, a darkness that mirrored the depths of the Dark Lord's influence. Their breaths quickened, their senses heightened as if anticipating an imminent confrontation with an overwhelming force. The soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, readying themselves for whatever darkness would come. Amidst the palpable tension, a soldier's voice trembled, laced with a mix of dread and determination. "We must stay vigilant, my comrades. The Dark Lord's reach knows no bounds. No matter the darkness that looms, We cannot falter in our mission. Our duty remains unchanged. Nodding in unison, the soldiers took a collective breath, their resolve solidifying in the face of the encroaching darkness. They would not waver, even as fear coursed through their veins. They were soldiers of the Sky Hall, standing as a barrier against the forces of darkness, no matter how overwhelming it may seem. And so, with hearts brimming with both fear and determination, the soldiers forged ahead, their steps steady and resolute. The absence of the moon's light only served to strengthen their resolve, reminding them of the immense task that lay before them in their battle against the enigmatic Dark Lord. As the darkness deepened, a chilling presence slithered through the shadows. Figures garbed in flowing dark robes emerged from the obscurity, their forms almost merging with the night. Only their gleaming fangs, exposed beneath their black hoods, betrayed their vampiric nature. The soldiers, their hearts pounding, froze in their tracks as the hooded figures closed in. The soldiers could feel the weight of their gaze, an intense scrutiny that sent shivers down their spines. Fear gripped their chests, tightening like an iron vice. Distant screams pierced the air, carried on the cold wind that swept through the mountain chain. The soldiers exchanged fearful glances, their expressions mirroring the horrors unfolding in the unseen depths of the darkness. The scent of blood, thick and metallic, tainted the air, assaulting their senses with its macabre presence. The soldiers knew that they were facing a force beyond their comprehension. The Dark Lord's minions had arrived, heralded by the ominous darkness and the echoes of agony that now resonated through the once tranquil landscape. Whispers of terror reverberated among the soldiers, each voice trembling with dread. What? What is happening? How can this be? The realization sank in. They were no match for the encroaching darkness and the relentless army of the Dark Lord. Their well-honed training and unwavering dedication now seemed futile in the face of such overwhelming malevolence. Yet, even in the midst of their terror, a flicker of defiance glimmered within some of the soldiers. They tightened their grips on their weapons, their resolve flaring like a solitary flame amidst the encroaching darkness. "We must stand strong," one soldier spoke, his voice quivering with determination. "For the Sky Hall, for our purpose, we cannot yield to the terrors of the Dark Lord. We fight for the light that still remains." When the soldiers steeled themselves, their hearts entwined with fear and valor, they prepared to face the oncoming onslaught. The hushed whispers and eerie silence gave way to the clash of metal against Fong, the screams of battle mingling with the cries of the Forsaken. As the vampires descended upon the Sky Hall soldiers, their movements were a blur of inhuman speed and agility. With predatory grace, they pounced upon their unsuspecting targets, teeth bared and claws poised to strike. The soldiers fought desperately, their swords slashing through the air in a valiant attempt to defend themselves. But they soon discovered that these creatures were unlike anything they had ever encountered. Each strike aimed at severing a vampire's head, as they had been instructed, was met with lightning-quick evasion. The vampires twisted and contorted their bodies, evading the fatal blow with uncanny agility. Frantic whispers passed between the soldiers as they exchanged glances of frustration and determination. "The head! We must sever their heads," one soldier cried, his voice filled with urgency. Their movements became more calculated as they adapted to the vampire's agility. The soldiers coordinated their attacks, attempting to corner the elusive creatures and strike with precise and decisive blows. Yet, despite their synchronized efforts, the vampires proved maddeningly elusive, slipping away from the edge of death each time. With each failed strike, the soldiers' frustration grew, but they refused to yield to despair. They fought on, driven by a relentless determination to protect their comrades and uphold their duty to the Sky Hall. The vampires, sensing their advantage, became even more ruthless and relentless. Their attacks grew fiercer, their claws ripping through armor and flesh with terrifying ease. Wounds that would have incapacitated a mortal soldier were shrugged off as the vampires regenerated their injuries almost instantaneously. The soldiers' faces contorted with a mix of astonishment and frustration as they witnessed this supernatural regeneration. The sight only fueled their determination to find a way to vanquish these seemingly invincible foes. Amidst the chaos, one soldier's eyes flickered with a glimmer of insight. "Fire!" he shouted above the tumultuous battle. "We must use fire. It's their weakness." The soldiers quickly adjusted their tactics, seeking out torches and any means to ignite flames. With renewed vigor, they unleashed a barrage of fire upon the vampires, the scorching flames searing their undead flesh. The vampires howled in agony, momentarily driven back by the onslaught. But even as the flames consumed them, the vampires refused to yield. Their bodies smoldered and charred, yet they emerged from the flames, their eyes burning with an unquenchable hunger for blood. The soldiers watched in awe and horror as the vampires, now engulfed in an inferno, continued to fight, undeterred by the pain and destruction inflicted upon them. The realization settled heavily in their hearts. These creatures were not easily defeated. As the battle between the soldiers and the vampires waged on, a few soldiers caught a glimpse of a figure shrouded in dark mist hovering above the herbal garden, surrounded by its protective glass dome. Their eyes widened in both awe and terror as they recognized the Dark Lord himself. Time seemed to stand still as the soldiers momentarily diverted their attention from the relentless fight to witness this ominous sight. The Dark Lord's presence cast an overwhelming aura of malevolence, his dark silhouette contrasting sharply against the backdrop of chaos and carnage. Suddenly, two beams of darkness shot forth from the Dark Lord's eyes, cutting through the air like deadly lasers. The ground beneath him trembled as he unleashed his power, his intent clear. With precise and calculated precision, he began to sever the earth around the herbal garden, creating a rift that encircled it. The soldiers watched in astonishment and trepidation as the ground split open, a deep chasm forming around the herbal garden. The earth groaned and rumbled, its ancient connection to the mountains severed by the Dark Lord's dark powers. Despite the chaos and destruction unfolding around them, the herbal garden remained untouched within its protective glass dome. The soldiers marveled at the Dark Lord's ability to isolate and lift the precious garden from the trembling ground without causing it harm. As the ground beneath the herbal garden began to rise, it seemed as though the very fabric of the mountain chain was being reshaped under the Dark Lord's command. The soldiers exchanged glances of disbelief, recognizing the extent of the Dark Lord's power and the magnitude of the force he commanded. The scene was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a testament to the unparalleled strength and dark magic possessed by the Dark Lord. It became clear to the soldiers that they were mere pawns in a grand design, caught in a battle where the outcome had already been predetermined. With a surge of dark energy, the Dark Lord lifted the chunk of mountain containing the herbal garden onto his broad shoulders. The colossal weight seemed insignificant to him as he effortlessly bore the burden, the glass dome encasing the precious garden gleaming in the moonlight. It was a sight that defied all reason and comprehension. Meanwhile, in Rivertown, a settlement nestled at the foot of the Sunrise Mountain chain, the inhabitants paused in their daily activities as they beheld the astonishing spectacle unfolding in the distance. Gasps of disbelief and murmurs of confusion rippled through the crowd as their eyes fixated on the mountain that appeared to be tearing itself apart. "There! Look at the mountain!" a young girl exclaimed, her finger pointing towards the extraordinary scene. A hush fell over the townsfolk as they gazed at the sight before them. Whispers of awe and concern filled the air, blending with the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant rumbling of the earth. "What in the world is happening?" a worried villager questioned, his voice filled with both fear and intrigue. "There's no bloody way that's happening. It's a trick, I tell ya," a grizzled villager exclaimed, his voice laced with disbelief. "Gods above, is this the end of us all?" a woman cried out, tears streaming down her face. "By the heavens, what foul sorcery is this?" a wide-eyed merchant muttered, crossing himself in a desperate attempt to ward off the impending doom. The once thriving marketplace fell into disarray as vendors abandoned their stalls, their wares forgotten in the face of this unnatural spectacle. Fear etched itself deeply upon the faces of the townsfolk, their eyes locked on the mountain as it trembled under the Dark Lord's power. "Curse that accursed Dark Lord!" a man cursed through clenched teeth, his voice brimming with anger and terror. A sense of unease pervaded the air, accompanied by the acrid scent of burning ozone. The collective gasp of the crowd echoed through the silent streets, mingling with hurried footsteps as families sought shelter, seeking solace within the confines of their homes. "Pray for mercy, for we stand on the edge of damnation," a quivering voice whispered, the words carrying the weight of resignation. The once unshakable faith in the stability of their world crumbled beneath the weight of the Dark Lord's power. Cries for divine intervention mingled with the curses of those who felt abandoned by their gods. Fear took hold, casting its suffocating grip upon the hearts of the townsfolk. "This can't be real. It's a nightmare, it must be," a young woman exclaimed, her voice trembling with disbelief. Whispers of desperation and anguish intertwined as uncertainty swirled through the crowd. Vulgarities slipped past the lips of some, their shock and fear shattering the veneer of civility in the face of such otherworldly events. "I'll be damned! That bloody mountain is being torn apart like a rotting corpse." a gruff farmer exclaimed, his face contorted with a mix of horror and fascination. The townsfolk, normally bound by a sense of community, were now consumed by individual fears and doubts. The once familiar landscape had been transformed into a nightmarish tableau, with the Dark Lord's power looming above them. In the midst of the chaos, a resolute voice cut through the cacophony of panic. "Hold strong, my friends. We shall endure this darkness together." It was a rallying cry, a flickering flame of hope amidst the encroaching shadows. And though their hearts were heavy with fear, the people of Rivertown found solace in the strength they drew from one another, determined to weather the storm unleashed by the Dark Lord's malevolence. The Sky Hall, blinded by their arrogance, believed they could obliterate the herbal garden that Michael had painstakingly nurtured. They assumed he would passively allow their destructive flames to reduce his creation to ashes. Oh, how sorely mistaken they were! None among them could have fathomed the depths of his power and determination. In a move that defied their expectations, Michael unleashed a display of raw might and cunning. With a surge of dark energy, he severed the garden from the very ground it had been rooted in, lifting the colossal chunk of mountain onto his broad shoulders. The audacity of his action sent shockwaves through the ranks of the Sky Hall, their futile attempts at destruction rendered insignificant in the face of his command over the elements. The awe-inspiring sight of the Dark Lord, his figure bathed in a sinister aura, shouldering the weight of the garden like a titan of old, struck fear into the hearts of those who dared to oppose him. The celestial powers that coursed through his veins allowed him to soar above their reach, defying gravity and expectations alike. With a purposeful stride, he embarked on a journey, carrying the precious cargo of his creation towards the dark abyss of the ocean. Chapter 961. Guardian Guild's last chance. High above the Azer continent, the resplendent headquarters of the Guardian Guild stood as a testament to its grandeur and prestige. Adorned in pure white, its majestic architecture reached toward the heavens, reflecting the Guild's noble purpose of safeguarding the realm. Within the hallowed halls of the Guild, Alpha Guardian Alara Valrin presided over an emergency meeting. Aware of the imminent danger threatening to tear the Guild apart from within, she gathered the leaders of various factions to devise a plan to restore order and unity. The atmosphere was heavy with tension, each member keenly aware of the precarious state the Guild had fallen into. Since the Sky Hall execution team had ruthlessly stripped Noah of his revered title as the leader of the Guardian Guild and imprisoned Ethan Winston, Noah's esteemed father, the Guild had been left rudderless and vulnerable. In the absence of strong leadership, factions within the Guild had emerged, vying for power and influence, threatening to fracture the once unbreakable unity of the Guild. As the sole remaining Alpha Guardian appointed by Noah, Alara Valrin bore the weight of the fallen. Her fellow Alpha Guardians, once pillars of strength and wisdom, had met their untimely demise during the harrowing Nagaland War, leaving a void that threatened the stability of the Guardian Guild. To preserve the Guild's integrity, Alara had no choice but to select new Alpha Guardians from the ranks of the talented and promising. These successors, though brimming with potential, lacked the seasoned experience and honed skill of their predecessors. Alara knew that with time, they would grow into their roles and shine brightly. But the pressing challenge was the absence of a unifying leader. Within the Guild's hallowed halls, ambitious and influential guardians had formed their own factions, eagerly awaiting the opportune moment to seize the coveted position of Guild leader. Once noble and devoted, these individuals had succumbed to the corrupting influences of greed and power, their allegiance to the Guild tarnished by their personal ambitions. Noah had diligently cleansed the Guild of corruption, but it seemed that the seeds of darkness had taken root once more. Alara recognized the urgent need for strong leadership to combat the insidious forces that threatened to tear the Guild apart from within. The task before her was daunting, as she grappled with the delicate balance of ensuring the Guild's stability while navigating the treacherous waters of factionalism. She knew that the lack of a unifying leader could lead to chaos and the dissolution of everything the Guardian Guild stood for. With each passing day, Alara tirelessly worked to nurture and guide the new Alpha Guardians, providing them with the wisdom and mentorship they needed to grow into their roles. She instilled in them the values of honor, selflessness, and dedication, hoping to inspire them to rise above the temptation of personal gain and restore the Guild's reputation. Silence! Alara's voice reverberated through the Grand Hall, commanding the attention of the assembled Alpha Guardians and Guardian Captains. The sheer force of her command compelled everyone to cease their conversations and turn their focus towards her. As the authoritative figurehead of the Guardian Guild, Alara stood tall and composed, her eyes scanning the room. Alongside her, 3 newly appointed Alpha Guardians took their places, each embodying the essence of their respective divisions. Alpha Roshan, the formidable Alpha Guardian of the Beast Guardians, possessed a commanding presence akin to a majestic lion. His golden mane cascaded down his broad shoulders, radiating strength and wisdom. With a deep, rumbling voice, he spoke, his tone resonating with authority. "We face a critical challenge within our division," Alpha Roshan began, his gaze sweeping across the attentive audience. "The rise of factionalism has led to a deterioration of trust and unity among the Beast Guardians. We must address this swiftly and restore the bond that once bound us together." Alpha Vivian, the fiery-haired Alpha Guardian of the Sorcerer Guardians, exuded an air of mystic power. Her vibrant red locks shimmered under the light, mirroring the intensity of her magical prowess. She stepped forward, her voice carrying an undercurrent of determination. "In the realm of the arcane, we encounter a different set of trials," Alpha Vivian continued, her emerald eyes sparkling with unwavering resolve. "The misuse and abuse of magic have tarnished our reputation. We must instill stricter regulations and education to foster responsibility and discipline among our ranks." Alpha Garrick, the seasoned warrior and Alpha Guardian of the Warrior Guardians, emanated an aura of battle-hardened valor. His scars and weathered armor spoke of countless victories and sacrifices. With a deep voice etched with experience, he addressed the gathering. "Our division grapples with a crisis of discipline," Alpha Garrick declared, his gaze penetrating through the room. "Some of our warriors have strayed from their honorable path, yielding to personal desires and forsaking their duty. We must re-establish a code of conduct and reinforce our core values to restore the integrity of the Warrior Guardians." As each Alpha Guardian presented their concerns and proposed solutions, Elara listened attentively, her expression a mask of thoughtful consideration. She understood that the problems within the guild ran deep, infecting every division. Yet, she also recognized the strength and potential of her newly appointed Alpha Guardians. With a sense of purpose and determination, Elara addressed the room once more, her voice filled with a blend of authority and compassion. "We stand at a crossroads, where the fate of the Guardian Guild hangs in the balance. But I have faith in each and every one of you, my fellow Alpha Guardians and Guardian Captains. Together, we will rise above the challenges that beset us, united in our purpose to protect and serve." The hall reverberated with a renewed sense of purpose and determination as Elara's words echoed through the minds of those present. The challenges were great, but the Guardian Guild's potential for redemption was equally immense. With their unwavering resolve and unified efforts, they would pave the way for a brighter future, restoring the guild to its former glory. As the meeting unfolded within the Grand Hall, a group of guardians clad in pristine white armor stood silently at the corner, their presence unnoticed by most. Led by Neela, a formidable figure with an aura of power that emanated from her soul-refining stage level 7 cultivation, they observed the proceedings with a mix of concern and determination. Neela's piercing gaze remained fixed on Elara and the other Alpha Guardians, her expression one of quiet intensity. As Alpha Roshan concluded his statement, a low growl rumbled deep in Neela's throat, her frustration evident. "We cannot allow Noah's name to be tarnished any longer," Neela declared, her voice laced with determination. "He dedicated his life to the Guardian Guild and deserves justice. It is our duty to uncover the truth and clear his name." Alvaro, a member of Neela's group and the second strongest with his soul-refining stage level 4 cultivation, stood beside her. Unbeknownst to his comrades, he had been working as a spy for the Dark Lord, betraying his fellow Guardians. Alvaro's mind buzzed with thoughts of the secrets he had uncovered, the information he had fed to the Dark Lord's army. As Neela voiced her intentions, Alvaro's eyes darted around the room, a calculated glint in his gaze. He knew that the unraveling of the Guardian Guild's internal strife would only serve to further his own agenda. The Dark Lord's promises of immortality and increased power tantalized him, clouding his judgment and fueling his ambition. While outwardly appearing to support Neela's determination to clear Noah's name, Alvaro silently calculated his next move. He pondered the secrets he had yet to uncover within the guild, knowledge that could prove invaluable to the Dark Lord's cause. The thought of presenting this information to his mysterious benefactors filled him with a sense of anticipation and the promise of greater rewards. Alvaro knew he danced a treacherous dance, walking a tightrope between loyalty to the Guardian Guild and his clandestine allegiance to the Dark Lord. His mind buzzed with possibilities, weighing the potential outcomes of his dual existence. As the meeting continued, the air thick with tension and the weight of responsibility, Neela and her fellow Guardians exchanged their differing viewpoints. Neela's determination to have Alicia, Noah's wife, take charge of the Guardians in his absence, clashed with the objections voiced by Alvaro and others within the group. Neela's eyes flashed with conviction as she spoke, her voice carrying a resolute tone. Alicia has suffered greatly at the hands of the Dark Lord. Her resilience and strength make her the ideal candidate to lead us in these troubled times. We must rally behind her and restore the honor of the Guardians. Neela, I understand your intentions, but we must consider the implications of Alicia's deep-seated hatred for the Dark Lord. It has clouded her judgment, making her vulnerable to rash decisions that could endanger us all. Alvaro, his gaze hidden behind a mask of calculated neutrality, spoke up with a measured tone. Others within the group nodded in agreement, their expressions etched with concern. They understood the pain Alicia had endured, but they also recognized the potential pitfalls of entrusting their fate to a leader driven by personal vendetta. Neela's brows furrowed, her determination unyielding. I believe in Alicia's strength and resilience. She has the power to unite us and guide us towards victory. We cannot let fear and doubt hold us back. Alvaro's eyes narrowed, a flicker of subtle intent passing through his gaze. Perhaps it would be wise to consider all options before rushing into such a decision. The Dark Lord's reach is vast, and we must prioritize the safety and well-being of our fellow Guardians. Neela's jaw tightened, her stance unwavering. We will not falter in our pursuit of justice. Alicia has the spirit to confront the Dark Lord, to avenge her family and protect our guild. We must support her. As the debate raged on, the rift within the group widened. The weight of conflicting loyalties and hidden agendas bore heavily upon the Guardians, threatening to fracture their unity and weaken their resolve. Unbeknownst to them, Alvaro's duplicitous actions loomed in the shadows as he played a dangerous game of manipulation, ready to exploit any opportunity that would further his allegiance to the Dark Lord. As the tense atmosphere gripped the meeting hall, a sudden commotion erupted at the entrance. A Guardian, trembling and drenched in sweat, stumbled into the room, his face contorted with fear. He stuttered and stammered, struggling to find his voice amidst the overwhelming terror that gripped him. Ilara, her brows furrowing with concern, quickly moved forward, her eyes fixed on the shaken Guardian. What has happened? Why are you so frightened? She asked, her voice laced with urgency. The Guardian's words tumbled out in a jumble, his voice quivering with fear. The demon BB Butler. He's here. He waits outside to deliver a message from the Dark Lord himself. A collective gasp swept through the room, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Ilara's heart quickened, her mind racing with the implications of this unexpected arrival. Without hesitation, she led the way as the Guardians rushed out of the hall, their gazes fixated on the figure awaiting them. As they stepped into the open air, their eyes fell upon Azazel, the demon butler of the Dark Lord. He stood alone, his neat butler uniform exuding an eerie sense of calm. His jet-black hair was impeccably combed to the side, framing a youthful face that belied the power that lay within. Crimson-red eyes bore into the Guardians, an intensity in their gaze that sent shivers down their spines. The Guardians, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and curiosity, couldn't help but shudder at the sight of Azazel, the demon butler of the Dark Lord. His presence alone seemed to cast a chilling aura that sent shivers down their spines. They couldn't deny the immense power emanating from him, knowing that he stood at the immortal stage level 9. Azazel's crimson eyes calmly scanned the assembled Guardians, his gaze unyielding and devoid of fear, despite being deep within enemy territory. The sneer that tugged at the corners of his lips only heightened the unease that settled over the weaker Guardians, who mumbled among themselves, their voices trembling with trepidation. He's so powerful. What chance do we have against him? One whispered, the words laced with a mixture of awe and fear. We mustn't let his presence deter us. We are the Guardians, defenders of justice. Another whispered, trying to instill a sense of courage amidst the rising anxiety. As the Guardians converged in the sky, their eyes fixed upon Azazel, their determination wavered in the face of his imposing figure. The weight of their duty pressed upon them, the magnitude of the situation becoming increasingly clear. Ilara, her eyes narrowing with determination, stepped forward to confront Azazel. Her voice cut through the tense air, filled with authority and defiance. Why have you come here, Azazel? This is our territory, and I have every right to strike you down where you stand. Azazel's lips curled into a contemptuous smirk. His crimson eyes locked onto Ilara. Oh dear Ilara! he sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. If the Guardian Guild were still strong, perhaps you would have had the chance. But without Noah, you are nothing. Just a collection of weaklings clinging to the remnants of a fading legacy. The Guardians bristled at Azazel's words, their collective anger and determination simmering beneath the surface. They exchanged glances, their resolve solidifying as they prepared to defend their honor and their home. Elara's voice rang out, strong and unwavering. We may have lost our leader, but our spirit remains unbroken. We are guardians, bound by duty and united in purpose. We will not yield to the likes of you. Azazel's eyes gleamed with a mix of amusement and malice. Ah, the bravado of the desperate, he retorted, his tone laced with disdain. But I am not here to engage in meaningless battles. I bring a message from the Dark Lord himself. The tension in the air grew thicker as the Guardians leaned in, their gazes fixed on Azazel, anticipation and dread intertwining within them. What is this message? Elara demanded, her voice laced with a mix of defiance and curiosity. Azazel's smile widened, his crimson eyes flashing with a dark glimmer. You have 2 days, he proclaimed, his words like venomous whispers. 2 days to abandon this guild, to scatter and hide like the rats you are. After that, the Dark Lord will personally come to this guild and burn it to the ground. And anyone who dares to stand in his way will meet their demise. The Guardians exchanged stunned glances, the weight of Azazel's words pressing upon them. Fear mingled with determination as they grappled with the reality of their impending fate. Elara's voice trembled with suppressed anger and defiance. We will not bow before the Dark Lord. We will stand our ground and defend what is ours. Azazel's laughter echoed through the air, a chilling sound that sent a shiver down the spines of the Guardians. So be it, he sneered. But remember, the darkness is relentless, and your feeble resistance will only lead to your destruction. As Azazel turned to depart, his dark wings unfurling behind him, the Guardians were left in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. They understood the gravity of the situation, the immense power they faced, but within the depths of their hearts, a glimmer of hope still burned. They would not surrender without a fight, for they were guardians, defenders of justice, and they would face the darkness head-on, no matter the cost. When the shock settled among the Guardians, whispers of disbelief rippled through their ranks. But the Dark Lord disappeared. Where did he go? One Guardian murmured, his voice filled with confusion. We thought he had vanished for good, another whispered, his eyes wide with realization. But now he's back, and more dangerous than ever. The news of the Dark Lord's return sent shockwaves through the Guardian Guild, filling them with a mixture of fear and uncertainty. They had hoped for respite in his absence, but now, they were faced with the undeniable truth that the Dark Lord's power still loomed over them. Chapter 962. No backup for the Guardian Guild. Following the Dark Lord's chilling warning of the impending destruction of their Guardian Guild, Elara retreated to the sanctuary of her meticulously arranged room. The space exuded an air of tranquility, with neatly stacked books lining the shelves and a captivating board game that challenged and sharpened her strategic thinking. Taking a purposeful stride, Elara approached her table and deftly retrieved a silver bead from one of the carefully organized drawers. Inhaling deeply, she summoned her resolve and crushed the bead, unleashing a radiant burst of light that swiftly consumed her form, whisking her away from the room in an instant. In an instant, Elara materialized within a grand and brilliantly illuminated hall. The space exuded a sense of majestic splendor, adorned with a colossal chandelier that bathed the room in a warm ethereal glow. At its center stood a large stone table, flanked by sturdy stone chairs that beckoned to be occupied. Casting an imposing presence, a towering statue of a lady, entwined with a sinuous snake, commanded attention from one corner of the room. As Elara, an elegant elf with golden hair and piercing blue eyes, entered the hall, she found herself confronted by several figures seated around the round table. Among them were Alicia, Celici, Evan Clark, and an enigmatic beastman who concealed his features beneath a cloak of dark robes. He is back, Elara's voice resounded with a mix of urgency and determination, as she shared the news of the Dark Lord's return with her comrades. The revelation triggered a tumultuous wave of emotions within each individual, blending fear, anger, and an unwavering thirst for retribution against the Dark Lord. Yet, amidst the charged atmosphere, the enigmatic beastman and Celici exuded an eerie calmness, almost as if they had anticipated the Dark Lord's resurgence. A serene smile graced Celicis' face, as if she held secrets and plans beyond the reach of others. Sales's calm demeanor persisted as she responded to Alara's plea. "Then it's time to expedite our plans," she stated in a composed tone, her words carrying an air of determination. But Alara refused to yield, her fist tightening as she confronted Salisi. "No. We must devise a plan to save the Guardian Guild. Azazel, the Dark Lord's minion, has delivered a message, giving us a mere 2 days to abandon the guild before the Dark Lord himself arrives to obliterate it along with everyone inside," she implored, her voice filled with urgency and a desperate need for support. Sales's nonchalant response, laced with indifference, provoked a frown from Alara. "Why bother, honey?" Salisi retorted, her words dripping with an unsettling lack of concern. Sales's voice remained steady as she expressed her viewpoint, her words carrying an air of finality. "The Guardian Guild, my dear, is akin to a dying animal. Attempts to salvage it would only prolong its suffering, prolong the inevitable. We must face the harsh truth that there is no conceivable plan in existence that can protect the Guild from the Dark Lord's wrath. With his formidable power at the half-celestial stage, we lack any semblance of strength or support to pose even a remote challenge against him," Salisi explained, her serene countenance, seemingly undisturbed by the gravity of the situation, accentuated the weight of her words. Alicia's frustration and anguish ignited, her voice echoing with a mix of anger and desperation as she forcefully slammed her hand on the table. "So what do you expect us to do? Stand idly by and watch that bastard destroy everything my husband worked tirelessly to build?" Her concern for Noah, lost after the Dark Lord's brutal attack on his mentor, Andreas, intensified her emotions. With Noah still unconscious and his whereabouts unknown, Alicia's anxiety grew, fueling her desire to protect his family. The Sky Hall's ruthless execution team had apprehended Ethan Winston and the elders, dismantling the entire Winston family. Fortunately, Noah's aunties found refuge in Breedia, seeking asylum under the protection of King Breedia, given their familial ties. Sales's calm demeanor remained unwavering, her gaze steady as she countered Alicia's outburst. "Why waste our efforts mending a dying creature when we have the opportunity to create a formidable force capable of toppling the Dark Lord? Remember, the Guardian Guild is more than just a physical structure. It resides within its members. Have you ever stopped to consider why the Dark Lord granted a 2-day ultimatum? He wants the Guardians to abandon the Guild, sacrificing their loyalty to save their own lives. Tell me, Alara, how many Guardians have already handed in their resignations and fled?" Sales's piercing gaze fixed upon Alara, demanding her attention. "Too many," Alara sighed wearily, her steps carrying the weight of exhaustion as she approached the table and took her seat. Weariness permeated her being, overshadowed by the daunting task at hand. Salisi leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with determination as she presented her plan. "The best course of action is to identify the most talented individuals within the Guild who still hold unwavering loyalty to Noah. We must recruit them into our ranks, forming a united front against the Dark Lord." While Michael and Gaia were occupied in the depths of hell, Salisi took it upon herself to tirelessly seek out those with the values of honor and courage, individuals who would join the impending battle against the Dark Lord. In essence, she was constructing a clandestine army in the shadows, hidden from the prying eyes of their enemy. Among the first recruits were Evan Clark, accompanied by his fiancée Victoria, Alara Valrin, and Alicia Winston. Sales's efforts also extended to the talented dwarves of the Han Torum clan, whom she enlisted under the leadership of Hammond. Their expertise in crafting formidable weapons would prove invaluable in the forthcoming struggle against the Dark Lord. With assistance from the Sky Hall, Salisi successfully rescued Hammond from the clutches of the Dark Lord's vampires, recognizing the immense value of preserving such a brilliant mind. Little did Salisi know, however, that the Dark Lord himself had already set in motion his own sinister plans for weapon development. The room fell silent as the weight of their mission settled upon them. Each individual carried their own hopes, fears, and determination to confront the looming threat. The clock was ticking, and the stage was set for an epic clash between light and darkness, with the future of their world hanging in the balance. Evan's words carried a sense of urgency as he addressed Salisi, his tone laced with concern. "Lady Salisi, we must understand that the Dark Lord's ambitions extend far beyond the Guardian Guild. He is not going to halt his actions here." Alara, nodding in agreement, added her insights to the conversation. As an Alpha Guardian, she had dedicated herself to studying the Dark Lord extensively. Her voice held a mixture of determination and apprehension. He is on the offensive now. The Dark Lord's intentions are clear. He seeks to obliterate his enemies while they are at their most vulnerable. Silent and watchful, the wolf-like figure listened intently without uttering a single word. Emotions ran high in the room as the gravity of the situation became increasingly apparent. The Dark Lord's relentless pursuit of power and destruction cast a shadow of fear and uncertainty over their future. They knew that in order to stand a chance against him, they would need to unite their strengths and devise a plan that countered his every move. Time was of the essence, and the battle against the Dark Lord had become a race against his impending onslaught. Celici glanced around the room, her gaze lingering on each face before she spoke. Hammond has been diligently working to create something that could potentially turn the tide against the Dark Lord, she said cryptically, her voice low and enigmatic. Evan, Ilara, and the wolf-like figure leaned in, their curiosity piqued by Sales's mysterious statement. They knew that Celici possessed hidden depths of knowledge and strategies that often remained veiled from the rest. Hammond, under my guidance, has been collaborating with a group of skilled dwarves, Celici continued, her voice carrying a tinge of secrecy. Together they are forging a weapon, a device that has the potential to harness the very essence of the fallen, turning them into an undying army. Her words hung in the air, eliciting a mix of intrigue and uncertainty among her companions. Celici had chosen not to reveal the full extent of her plans, keeping them shrouded in mystery. She understood that unveiling her every move could jeopardize the delicate balance they sought to achieve. Trust in our allies' ingenuity, Celici added, her eyes gleaming with a glimmer of determination. Hammond's invention may hold the key to countering the Dark Lord's forces and granting us an unexpected advantage. Evan and Ilara exchanged a knowing glance, sensing that Celici held back more than she had revealed. They understood that Celici was a master strategist, carefully orchestrating their actions to outmaneuver their formidable adversary. It was a testament to her foresight and cunning that she kept certain cards hidden, reserving them for the most opportune moments. The wolf-like figure remained silent, their eyes reflecting a blend of curiosity and caution. They had chosen to trust in Sales's leadership, knowing that her every decision held a purpose that would unfold in due time. When the weight of their impending battle settled upon them, the room fell into a contemplative silence. Each individual contemplated their role in the grand scheme of things, aware that the fate of their world rested on their shoulders. Sales's mysterious plans and Hammond's secret project cast an air of hope amidst the encroaching darkness, reminding them that the path to victory often lay hidden within the shadows. As Sales's words about turning fallen comrades into an undying army echoed in the room, a wave of discomfort washed over Alicia. Her face contorted with a mix of confusion and disgust, her brows furrowing deeply. The idea of creating an army of the undead, akin to the Dark Lord's forces, repulsed her. Alicia couldn't help but voice her concerns, her voice laced with skepticism. Are you planning to create an undead army, Celici? Are we not just becoming as twisted and vile as the Dark Lord himself if we resort to such methods? Celici, her gaze steady and unyielding, met Alicia's eyes. A knowing smile played upon her lips as she responded. No. Alicia. This is not an undead army in the conventional sense. It is something much more. Her words hung in the air, leaving Alicia yearning for more answers. The unease within her gnawed at her, questioning the morality and integrity of their cause. She understood the necessity of fighting back against the Dark Lord, but she didn't want their actions to mirror his malevolence. I cannot reveal all my plans just yet, Celici continued, her voice filled with conviction. But trust me when I say that what we are creating is not an army of mindless undead. It is something different, something that can tip the scales in our favor without sacrificing our humanity. Alicia bit her lip, still grappling with her doubts. She looked around the room, searching for reassurance in the eyes of her companions. Evan and Ilara, though intrigued by Sales's enigmatic words, appeared to trust her judgment. The wolf-like figure remained silent, their unreadable expressions suggesting a willingness to follow Sales's lead. Sales's calm demeanor and air of confidence began to alleviate Alicia's initial concerns, replacing them with a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was more to Sales's plan than she initially thought. As the conversation progressed, Evan interjected, his voice laced with urgency. Celici, we shouldn't forget about Noah's spies within the Dark Lord's army. They hold valuable information and could be crucial assets in our fight. We should consider pulling them out, ensuring their safety and utilizing their knowledge against the Dark Lord. Sales's gaze shifted to Evan, considering his words carefully. She understood the importance of the spies and the insights they could provide. However, her thoughts were focused on a different strategy. One that required subtlety and gathering intelligence from within the enemy's ranks. "I appreciate your concern, Evan," Celici replied, her tone measured. "But at this stage, it is best to keep the spies embedded within the Dark Lord's army. They are our eyes and ears, gathering vital information about the Dark Lord's plans and movements." Alicia's brow furrowed as she tried to comprehend Saelsis' reasoning. But won't they be in grave danger? The Dark Lord could discover their true identities and execute them. Saelsis' gaze hardened, her resolve unwavering. "I understand the risks involved, Alicia, but we must tread carefully. Pulling them out now could raise suspicions and jeopardize their lives. By keeping them within the Dark Lord's army, they can continue to gather valuable intelligence, ensuring we stay one step ahead." Evan nodded reluctantly, acknowledging the rationale behind Saelsis' decision. He knew they needed as much information as possible to counter the Dark Lord's plans effectively. However, he couldn't help but worry for the safety of the spies and the potential consequences they might face. "Remember, our spies are skilled and resilient," Celici continued, her voice filled with determination. "We will provide them with the support they need and monitor their situation closely. If the risks become too great, we will reassess and act accordingly. But for now, their presence within the Dark Lord's army is our best chance to gather crucial intel and gain an advantage." Alicia sighed, reluctantly accepting Saelsis' perspective. She knew that Celici had a knack for playing the long game, strategizing with meticulous care. While uneasy about the spies' precarious situation, she understood the importance of information in this battle against the Dark Lord. With their discussion concluded, the group settled into a determined silence, each member contemplating their role in this dangerous undertaking. The path ahead was treacherous, and sacrifices would be inevitable. Saelsis' enigmatic plans, the spies lurking in the shadows, and the weight of their mission loomed over them, shaping their resolve to challenge the Dark Lord and reclaim their world from his clutches. Chapter 963, Game of Schemes. As the bustling preparations for Michael and Gaia's wedding filled the air, Michael sought solace within his forge located deep within the heart of the demon's grave. Here, amidst the flickering glow of molten metal, he dedicated his craftsmanship to fashioning something truly special for his beloved. The distant rumble of the relocated mountain, containing his cherished herbal garden, still echoed in his ears as he focused on his work. Vidora, the three-headed hydra, coiled upon a nearby table, its heads observing Michael's every move with unwavering attention. Iag, the white-headed head of the hydra, emanated an aura of raw energy, occasionally punctuating the air with colorful expletives. Sarba, the silver-headed middle head, possessed a gentle and meek disposition, rarely displaying anger. And Cain, the black-headed head, exuded an air of silent cunning and unmatched intellect. As Michael stoked the fires of the forge, the searing heat bringing beads of sweat to his brow, Vidora's multiple heads swayed in unison, their eyes fixated on the intricate dance of flames. Iag's voice dripped with a mixture of skepticism and frustration as she addressed Michael, her tone laced with disbelief. "So, it's finally fucking happening, huh? The Guardian Guild's gonna be wiped out. But why the hell did you give em 2 days? Wouldn't it be more efficient to catch em off guard and attack without warning?" Michael, his focus undeterred, carefully lifted a cauldron brimming with shimmering golden liquid, its warmth radiating through the air. With a calm demeanor, he replied to Iag's questioning, his voice steady yet tinged with an underlying intention. "I want to give those who want to leave the guild a chance." Iag's brows furrowed in suspicion, her eyes narrowing with a newfound sense of curiosity. "Why the hell do I get the feeling that you've got something else up your sleeve?" she pressed, her voice laced with skepticism. Cain, ever observant and quick to interject, spoke up in place of Michael, his tone carrying a hint of intrigue. "There's another force at play here, Iag." Michael paused his work momentarily, a knowing smile gracing his lips as he acknowledged Iag's bewildered expression. "You caught on, huh?" he remarked, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. Iag, still grappling to comprehend the depth of the situation, blurted out her question, her voice laden with confusion. "What other force are you talking about?" she inquired, her tone revealing her utter cluelessness. Michael's voice cut through the air, his words steeped in gravitas as he unraveled a truth that left Iag stunned. Nightmare's death didn't happen by chance. It was orchestrated, Someone pulling the strings behind the scenes. They wanted to pin the blame on Noah and Norvin. Iag growled in disbelief, his voice laced with surprise and a touch of anger. What the fuck do you mean they put the blame on Norvin? Our fucking spies in Winston Manor said Norvin claimed he stabbed Nightmare in a fit of rage. Michael, his hammer striking the cooled golden liquid with precision, maintained his focus as he clarified the truth. Noah and Norvin both have this idiotic rule against killing. They believe in it wholeheartedly, even if it puts Em at a disadvantage. Noah wouldn't have taken Nightmare's life, especially not after we saved his father. He'd try to incapacitate Nightmare, use his power to lock his cultivation, and end the fight without killing him. So you're saying someone else killed Nightmare and put the blame on Norvin? But hey, race the fucking thing that doesn't make sense. Why the hell would Norvin take the blame, knowing that claiming he killed Nightmare would piss us off enough to wipe out their whole fucking kingdom? Michael's work paused momentarily, his eyes meeting Iag's as he conveyed his understanding. Norvin bet on the fact that I can't kill Noah without the god-killing arrows. He thought if he placed Noah in Nagaland, we wouldn't attack cause it's Gaia's homeland. But he didn't anticipate that Gaia would prioritize avenging Nightmare over her kingdom. The same force behind Nightmare's death manipulated Norvin into leaving Noah's side. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. The rhythm of Michael's hammer resumed, the metallic clang reverberating through the forge as he continued his work. The process of forging a special gift for Gaia unfolded alongside their conversation, each strike of the hammer adding to the creation of a symbol of their love. As sparks flew and metal took shape, the weight of the revelation settled upon them all. Emotions churned within them, a mix of anger, confusion, and determination. The path to justice was laid bare before them, and they vowed to unravel the truth behind Nightmare's death and protect those who had been wrongly accused. Think about it. How could Saber lose the trail of a mere human? Someone must have helped Hammond disappear, Michael stated calmly, his voice tinged with a hint of intrigue. Iag's anger flared as she responded, her voice laced with frustration. So when the fuck did you come to this conclusion? Before or after Gaia launched a fucking full-scale attack on her homeland, killing Castien and cripping her sister? Michael's expression remained composed as he answered, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Long before that, Iag. Whoever the hell they are, they know damn well they can't face me directly. That's why they choose to work from the shadows. But they seem to have forgotten that I control the god of darkness, the very essence of shadows. Let them think they have the upper hand. Let them think they stand a chance. After all, it'd be boring without some opposition in this game of schemes, Michael declared, a wry smile curling on his lips. Snatching the metal piece from the forge, Michael plunged it into cold water, steam hissing and dissipating into the air. The calmness in his voice belied the gravity of his words. Every time I'm in a battle, they send more and more people to die by my hands, even though they know they can't match my power. If I'm right, they're planning some fucked up shit with the souls of the people we kill. The mention of souls made Vedora's minds race, their thoughts instantly conjuring images of an army of glowing souls under the night sky, poised to take down the dark army they had worked tirelessly to build. Yet, upon witnessing the calm smile on Michael's face, a sense of reassurance washed over them. Okay, hold the fuck up. What the hell makes you think they're building an army of souls? Is that what you're implying? Iag furrowed her brow. Her frustration was evident. They were harvesting demon bodies in the demon's grave and fucking undead from the nether realm. And the only explanation for why no powerful cultivator interjected every time I fought an army is cause they let me kill all those people, Michael explained, his tone matter-of-fact. Iag interjected, her skepticism apparent. We can't fucking rule out the fact that Zanali is as dumb as a sack of shit. Michael chuckled, a brief respite from the seriousness of the conversation. True, but it wasn't Zanali who ruled Nagaland. It was Salisi, her mother. And Salisi was nowhere to be found when we attacked Nagaland. According to Gaia and the intel we got from our minions, Salisi is not stupid. Sarba's curiosity was piqued as he posed a question. If she's such a genius, then why the hell did Nagaland decline under her rule? Michael's response was laden with contemplation. What if that was her intention all along? He pondered aloud, his question hanging in the air. Frustration and confusion etched on Sarba's face as he absorbed Michael's words. I don't have any proof to support my theory, but I've reached a point where I don't need concrete evidence. Once Arius assassins find Salisi, he'll get the goddamn answers straight from her, Michael declared coldly, his eyes gleaming with determination as he retrieved the metal piece from the oil. So let's say they are indeed building an army of souls, and I don't even know how the hell that shit works. What the fuck are you gonna do about it, huh? Are you gonna stop killing anything that stands in your way and turn to goddamn democracy? Ayag sneered, her sarcasm dripping from every word. Michael, focused on his forging, responded calmly, his words punctuated by the rhythmic clanging of the hammer. They're not building an army for themselves, Ayag. They're building an army for me. They just don't know about it, he continued his work, the metal piece slowly taking shape beneath his skilled hands. Michael harbored two intertwined plans in his relentless pursuit of the truth. The first plan revolved around unearthing the complete extent of his suspicion, the existence of an army of souls being constructed by his adversaries. Once he confirmed the presence of such an ethereal force, his second plan would seamlessly come into play, ingeniously utilizing the powers bestowed upon him by the system to claim the army of souls as his own. However, caution was paramount. Michael understood the delicate balance between maintaining secrecy and his enemy's perception of his suspicions. If they were to suspect his awareness of their sinister machinations, they would swiftly pivot to an alternate strategy. Thus, feigning ignorance became an integral aspect of his design. By appearing oblivious to their hidden agenda, his enemies would continue to dispatch armies, unknowingly presenting him with the opportunity to accrue experience points and, in turn, the coveted badass points through their defeat. It was through this process of skillful manipulation that Michael would steadily accumulate his store of badass points. In the intricate dance between light and darkness, Michael's strategic mind worked tirelessly, envisioning a future where the army of souls stood as a testament to his indomitable will. With careful precision, he calculated each step, knowing that the revelation of the truth would pave the path for him to harness the power within the souls and forge his own indomitable army. Though the system had temporarily gone offline, and he couldn't earn experience points for his kills, Michael knew he still amassed a fucking ton of badass points. After the war in Nagaland, he had a staggering 20 million badass points just waiting to be utilized. He was confident that once the system came back online, he could turn whatever this unknown enemy was doing in the shadows against them, using the powers granted by the system. As the conversation shifted to the topic of spies, Ayag raised a proposition that made Michael pause. Now that Noah is gone and we're on the verge of destroying the Guardian Guild, we should hang Noah's fucking spies among our ranks and make an example out of them, Ayag suggested, her tone laced with vindictiveness. Michael shook his head, his expression contemplative. No. They are far more valuable to me, alive than dead. I've instructed Trista to place these spies in a special unit and feed them false information. This unknown enemy of mine will eventually seek out these spies and attempt to use them. And when that happens, these spies will unknowingly lead me straight to them, Michael explained, his eyes gleaming with a cunning resolve. Michael was acutely aware of the inevitable infiltration of his army by hostile spies. With force comprising nearly 2,000 soldiers, it was an insurmountable task to monitor each individual closely. The unsettling truth was that any of them could be swayed to betray him with the right incentives, and he had seen firsthand how easily loyalty could be compromised. To safeguard against potential dangers posed by these spies, Michael understood the importance of keeping crucial plans close to his chest. It was unnecessary for the lower-ranking soldiers to be privy to the intricacies of his strategies. By withholding such vital information, he effectively limited the amount of actionable intelligence available to his enemies. This approach aimed to minimize the risk of leaks within his own ranks, preventing vital details from falling into the wrong hands. With a deliberate and calculated approach, Michael aimed to provide his adversaries with a paltry amount of useful information, leaving them grasping at shadows and uncertain of his true intentions. However, Michael recognized that the presence of hostile spies within his army wasn't entirely a disadvantage. In fact, he saw it as an opportunity to turn the tables on his enemies. Once he successfully identified these spies, he could carefully trace their activities to uncover their superiors and the broader network they were reporting to. This chain of information would lead him to the heart of the enemy's operations and reveal the larger threat they posed. As Michael delved deeper into this game of deception and intrigue, a sense of exhilaration coursed through his veins. The thrill of outmaneuvering his adversaries, using their own spies against them, was a source of satisfaction. With each step, he gained a strategic advantage, unraveling their plots and turning their schemes to his advantage. It was a thrilling pursuit that fueled his determination to protect his army and ensure their ultimate victory. With the plan firmly established, Every element began to align as they readied themselves to outsmart their foes. In the intricate interplay between brightness and obscurity, Michael maintained a constant advantage, his sharp intellect tirelessly at work to expose the facts and conquer his enigmatic adversary, reducing them to defeat. When Michael set aside the hammer, his mind brimmed with a myriad of plans, ranging from Plan A to Plan Z. His confidence soared beyond a mere 100%, surpassing even 200%, as he envisioned emerging victorious against whoever dared plot in the shadows. Being the Dark Lord, he understood that adversaries would shy away from direct confrontation, fully aware that facing him head-on would only result in their demise. Hence, schemes became their sole recourse, their slim chance of challenging his reign. In the grand game of schemes, my enemies may revel in their initial victories, thinking they have me cornered. But little do they know, I thrive amidst the chaos they create. Schemes may be their feeble attempt to bring me down, but I am the master of shadows, the orchestrator of their downfall. For every scheme they devise, I have 10 strategies waiting in the darkness. And in the end, when the dust settles, it is I who emerges, triumphant and untouchable. The schemes may dance and deceive, but I, the Dark Lord, always have the final move. Chapter 964. Effects of the Dark Lord's Armor Pieces. Forgive this idiot author for not editing the properly when I first published it. I rewrote the chapter completely and add few more exciting things to the chapter. Please read the 963, before continuing to read the below chapter. Venturing into the dark newly built and dimly lit underground cellar beneath Kaya's home, Celici descended further into its eerie depths. The air within was heavy and tainted, carrying the unmistakable stench of blood, a testament to the horrors that had unfolded within these confines. As Celici cautiously advanced, the flickering light of torches revealed a macabre sight. The ground was stained with dried blood while fresh puddles glistened ominously. Chains hung from the walls, bearing the scars of countless struggles, evidenced by scratch marks and lingering traces of crimson. A bone-chilling symphony of gnawing and croaking sounds filled the air, a chilling reminder of the torment inflicted upon unfortunate victims held captive within this dismal underworld. Xiaofan's steps faltered as a movement caught her attention, drawing her gaze to the dancing shadows. Amidst the obscurity, bolts of crimson-red lightning flickered, casting an eerie glow upon a tall figure. The atmosphere grew tense as Xiaofan's eyes locked onto the enigmatic presence concealed within the darkness. "We need to talk, Quintus." Xiaofan's voice resonated through the chilling air of the underground cellar. Though fully aware of the horrors that had unfolded within these very walls, she maintained an unnerving calmness in her demeanor. As Celici approached, the figure known as General Quintus remained motionless, seemingly unperturbed by her presence. Seizing a torch from the pillar nearby, Celici thrust its illuminating flame into the darkness, revealing a grotesque scene. General Quintus, shrouded in tattered misty robes, was hunched over a young man, his twisted form engrossed in a macabre feast. General Quintus' appearance was nightmarish to behold. Veiled beneath his ragged attire, he donned a menacing metal chestplate adorned with an intricately engraved skull. The chestplate seemed to pulsate with minuscule, crimson-red bolts that danced in an otherworldly fashion. His disfigured countenance was a horrifying sight, with decaying flesh peeling away from his face, exposing raw, oozing wounds. Trails of blood streamed down his neck and eyes, while only a few stray strands of hair clung desperately to his scalp. His emaciated frame exuded an aura of terror, evoking a chilling sense of dread. Despite the terrifying visage before her, Celici maintained her composure, steeling herself for the conversation that lay ahead. She knew that engaging with General Quintus, despite the horrors he embodied, was crucial in unraveling the mysteries that plagued their world. "Disturb not my feast, woman," Quintus snarled, his fangs deeply embedded in the young man's neck, extracting the lifeblood with a gruesome hunger. Suppressing her revulsion, Celici maintained her composure, a necessary sacrifice in her quest for allies and powerful figures to bolster her Shadow Clan's fight against the Dark Lord. The sight of Quintus, an abomination of nature, was a reminder of the dark forces she had to navigate. "Quintus, I warned you about wearing those cursed armor pieces," Celici spoke, her voice laced with a hint of concern. Leaning against a pillar, she observed the frailty that plagued Quintus. She knew all too well that his vampiric regeneration alone would not sustain him indefinitely. Desire gleamed in Quintus' eyes as he released his hold on the lifeless husk of the young man. The once vibrant plump body had withered into a desiccated shell, drained of all vitality. Quintus' elongated tongue slithered across his blood-stained fingers, relishing the remnants of his gruesome meal. His crimson eyes fixated upon Celici, hunger still burning within. The tense atmosphere between Celici and Quintus hung heavy, an unspoken understanding lingering beneath their interaction. Saelsis' need for Quintus' allegiance and his insatiable thirst for more power converged in this macabre encounter, a delicate dance between manipulation and necessity. The armor pieces you adorn, Quintus, were never meant for you to wear, at least not yet. Saelsis' voice resonated with caution and concern. She stepped closer, her gaze locked onto Quintus' deteriorating form, his body ravaged by the corruption of the dark armor. Quintus, in his insatiable thirst for power, had succumbed to the allure of the forbidden armor. Its malevolent influence had gradually seeped into every fiber of his being, twisting and distorting him into an unholy abomination. The once noble figure was now a grotesque manifestation of decay and despair. Only his vampiric regenerative abilities and a constant supply of blood from the unfortunate souls of Kingdom Giselle sustained Quintus' fragile existence. The armor, however, acted as a poison, slowly consuming his body and soul with each passing moment. Saelsis' words held the weight of knowledge and a tinge of desperation. She understood the dire consequences of Quintus continuing to wear the armor. It was a path that would lead to his eventual demise, a complete corruption of his very essence. We must conduct further research, Quintus, and find a way to cleanse and reforge the armor so that it may serve its true purpose, Celici implored, her voice tinged with urgency. Wearing it as it is will only lead to your ultimate demise, a fate we cannot afford. As Celici spoke, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for Quintus. He had succumbed to the allure of power, his body transformed into a nightmarish visage of his former self. This armor is mine, mine alone, Quintus snarled defiantly, dismissing Saelsis' warnings. His lips peeled back to reveal his menacing pair of elongated fangs, stained with the blood of his victims. The intensity of his gaze bore into Celici, unyielding and filled with a feral determination. Despite all the warnings and pleas from Celici, Quintus stubbornly clung to the corrupted armor, his features contorted with defiance. His hissing voice and blood-stained teeth only emphasized the depth of his descent into darkness. Undeterred by Quintus' aggression, Celici stood her ground, her unwavering resolve shining through. Not a trace of fear flickered in her eyes, even in the face of such a gruesome abomination. These armor pieces belongs to the Dark Lords, Quintus. He is relentless in his pursuit of what is rightfully his. If he discovers you wearing them, he will tear you apart without mercy. No armor will shield you from his wrath. Saelsis' words carried a sense of urgency and a hint of concern for Quintus' safety. The truth of her words stoked a furious anger within Quintus, his bloodlust reaching its boiling point. With inhuman speed, he lunged at Celici, driven by a primal rage. Yet, Celici remained composed, her gaze unwavering. In response, Celici calmly raised the torch in one hand, its flickering flames casting an eerie glow in the dimly lit cellar. With her other hand, she summoned a swirling mist that danced through the torch's fire, transforming it into a powerful torrent of blue flames. As the searing flames engulfed Quintus, his anguished roar filled the air. The intensity of the fire forced him to retreat into the shadows, seeking solace in the darkness that veiled his monstrous form. There, his vampiric regeneration would work tirelessly to heal the wounds inflicted by Saelsis' flame. Quintus' face contorted with rage, his eyes burning with a bloodlust that seemed insatiable. "You wretched bitch! I will tear you limb from limb and feast on your flesh," he spat, his voice dripping with venomous hatred. His words carried a gruesome promise, filled with visions of carnage and savagery. Unfazed by the vile threats, Celici maintained her composure, meeting Quintus' gaze without flinching. She understood the depths of his desperation and the darkness that consumed him. With a steady voice, she attempted to reason with him. "Quintus, I am not your enemy. In fact, I am the only one who can offer you salvation from the fate that awaits you. I can help you wield the power of that armor without succumbing to its corrupting influence. You don't have to be consumed by darkness." Saelsis' seemingly compassionate offer to save Quintus carried with it a hidden agenda. Beneath her calm exterior, a calculated mind was at work, analyzing every move and strategy. Her intentions were far from altruistic. She saw Quintus as nothing more than a pawn in her relentless game against the Dark Lord. While her words hinted at redemption and salvation, Saelsis' true motivations were rooted in cunning manipulation. She saw an opportunity to exploit Quintus' desire for power, harnessing it for her own ends. Her heart remained untouched by genuine compassion, replaced instead by a cold, strategic mind that sought to leverage any situation to her advantage. Behind her calm demeanor, Xiaofan's thoughts churned with plans and schemes, each piece meticulously arranged on the chessboard of her ambitions. She was ruthless in her pursuit of victory, willing to use anyone and anything as a means to an end. Quintus, with his immense power and thirst for blood, became just another tool in her arsenal. In her eyes, alliances were temporary, loyalty was expendable, and emotions were mere hindrances. Celici was a master manipulator, weaving a web of deception and intrigue, ensuring that she remained several steps ahead of her adversaries. Her actions were guided solely by self-interest, and she had no qualms about sacrificing others in her relentless pursuit of power. Despite the maddening corruption that clouded Quintus' mind, a flicker of rationality remained within him. Deep down, he understood the perilous truth in Xiaofan's words. If he persisted in wearing the accursed armor pieces, his very existence would be devoured by their malevolent power. It was a realization that pierced through the haze of his insanity. Quintus, in his fragmented state, grasped a fundamental truth that eluded most. The armor pieces were not meant for mortal beings, and if he could not bear their weight, then no one else could either. They were crafted specifically for the Dark Lord, their twisted design a reflection of his maleficence. In stark contrast, Celici, with her cunning and knowledge, recognized the armor's true nature. She understood the irrefutable connection it held with its creator, the Dark Lord himself. It was an understanding born from her meticulous research and her unyielding pursuit of knowledge. Quintus' sudden desire for the armor pieces derailed Xiaofan's original plan. She had intended to bring the coveted artifacts to her lair, where she could conduct extensive research and unravel their secrets. It was through this meticulous study that she hoped to unlock the possibility of someone other than the Dark Lord donning the armor pieces. The allure of uncovering such knowledge fueled Xiaofan's ambition. She understood the immense value of keeping the armor pieces out of the Dark Lord's clutches. By preventing him from obtaining them, she could hinder his progress and impede the completion of his formidable armor. Yet, Quintus' insatiable lust for the accursed pieces threw a wrench into her carefully laid plans. His uncontrollable desire now threatened to snatch the armor pieces from her grasp, denying her the opportunity to delve deeper into their mysteries. Now, Quintus, time is running out. Remove the armor pieces and hand them over to me. Xiaofan's voice quivered with urgency. The weight of their impending danger hung heavy in the air. She needed Quintus to understand the gravity of the situation. The Dark Lord himself is en route to our location. His arrival is imminent, Celici revealed, her words laced with a sense of impending doom. The urgency in her voice conveyed the need for immediate action. They could no longer afford to linger in Giselle's confines. Celici reveled in the immense advantage she held over the Dark Lord. Her meticulous scheming unfolded behind the shadows, unbeknownst to him. Secrecy was her greatest weapon, and it allowed her plans to take shape undisturbed. The Dark Lord, consumed by his own arrogance, remained oblivious to the web of deceit she spun around him or she thought. Xiaofan's every move was calculated with precision. She had purposely allowed Quintus to wear the armor pieces, using him as a testing subject to assess the true effects they would have on an individual. It was a calculated risk, exploiting Quintus' unwavering desire for power and lust for the dark artifacts. Little did he know that his role extended beyond mere pawn. He unknowingly served as a crucial piece in her grand scheme. She observed Quintus closely, noting the insidious changes the armor pieces inflicted upon his mind, body and soul. His unwitting participation provided her with valuable insights and the knowledge she needed to manipulate the situation to her advantage. Quintus' ignorance shielded her true intentions, ensuring the Dark Lord remained oblivious to her plot to bring about his downfall. If the Dark Lord were to discover Xiaofan's intricate machinations, her carefully constructed plans would crumble before her. The delicate balance she had cultivated, the element of surprise she wielded, would be shattered. The stakes were high, and Celici guarded her secrets with unwavering determination, knowing that the very existence of her mission depended on her ability to remain hidden in the shadows. Just as Quintus was about to remove the armor pieces, Andreas materialized beside Celici, his expression filled with urgency and a hint of despair. Celici, ever perceptive, read the unspoken words in his eyes. "We need to leave now. The Dark Lord is here and he killed them," said Andreas. The weight of his cryptic statement, "he killed them," resonated within her. She quickly pieced together the puzzle, understanding the grim fate that had befallen those dear to Quintus. Aware that Andreas was on the brink of unraveling her carefully crafted plan with his reckless candor, Celice desperately attempted to convey her silent warning. Her eyes pleaded with him to keep silent, to withhold the devastating truth that threatened to unleash Quintus' fury prematurely. But Andreas, driven by his own motivations and disregard for the delicate balance she had meticulously orchestrated, flicked his wrist, summoning a silver chain adorned with a penguin pendant, a token of sentimental value. Quintus' eyes widened upon seeing the pendant, a visceral recognition flashing across his face. It was a precious gift, purchased by Quintus himself, presented to his beloved wife, Matilia Salinator, on their wedding day. The bloodstains that marred the chain told a gruesome tale, one of unspeakable loss and unsatiated vengeance. In that harrowing moment, Quintus' intentions to surrender the armor pieces and maintain rationality shattered like fragile glass. Overwhelmed by a torrent of anger and grief, he unleashed a primal roar. His sole desire to tear through the walls, break free, and confront the Dark Lord. Fool! Celice's frustration surged as she witnessed Quintus' reckless escape, leaving the cellar without surrendering the coveted armor pieces that she had been on the precipice of persuading him to relinquish. She clenched her fists tightly, her anger and disappointment seething, and turned her gaze to Andreas. Chapter 965. Battle for the title and armor pieces. As Celice plotted against Michael, manipulating Quintus as yet another pawn in her game, Michael found solace above the clouds, floating amidst the celestial beauty of the starry sky and the presence of 3 majestic sapphire moons. Amidst the chaos of schemes, vengeance, and the weight of his Dark Lord responsibilities, Michael occasionally forgot to appreciate the breathtaking wonders of this world. However, once he had vanquished his adversaries and settled his score, a burning desire ignited within him to embark on a journey to those enigmatic moons, to uncover the mysteries that lay hidden within their ethereal embrace. While he luxuriated in the celestial beauty, a chilling reminder of his ruthless nature stained Michael's hand, the blood of Quintus' wife and her entire family. These were not innocent lives, for Saber had unearthed a macabre secret in their backyard, a burial ground concealing the remains of countless enslaved individuals who toiled under Quintus' roof. However, their deaths were not solely a consequence of their actions. Michael's unwavering devotion to safeguarding Gaia, his beloved, propelled him to eliminate any potential threat. Mercy, even towards his adversaries, held the potential to endanger the safety of his cherished one. Thus, he resolved to protect Gaia at any cost, an oath he would not allow any flicker of leniency to compromise. "My lord!" Azazel flew gracefully through the clouds, his eyes wide with shock and awe. He bowed before Michael, his admiration evident. The Dark Lord's uncanny ability to foresee events had left Azazel astonished. "Take a look at this, my lord." Azazel presented a tablet-sized mirror to Michael, a reflection of a gruesome tableau. The mirror unveiled a gory spectacle within its depths, a hall strewn with the lifeless bodies of soldiers and nobles. Blood adorned the walls in macabre patterns, leaving a chilling testament to the savagery that had unfolded. Scorch marks marred the surroundings, and once magnificent statues stood melted and disfigured by the unforgiving heat. The sheer amount of blood spilled was a testament to the carnage that had transpired. It was Azazel's masterful orchestration that brought about this scene, for Michael had no need to soil his hands when he had his trusted demon butler by his side. The Dark Lord's vengeance had been unleashed upon Quintus' wife and her father alone. Within the mirror, amidst the crimson chaos, Azazel pointed out a hazy white figure to Michael, a presence that piqued his curiosity and confirmed his suspicions of an unknown force operating in the shadows. "My lord, this fleeting blur appeared for a mere moment within the hall. Initially, I dismissed it as a glitch or a stray speck of dust. However, you had foreseen its arrival," Azazel explained, his voice tinged with intrigue. Michael's cunning plan had unfolded flawlessly, leaving Azazel astounded. After executing his vengeance upon Quintus' family, Michael had left a spider, a small surveillance device, concealed within their home. Its purpose was to record and transmit all subsequent events. The Dark Lord harbored a suspicion that the unknown force operating in the shadows was in league with Quintus, and he anticipated their presence within Quintus' abode upon receiving a message written in blood. True to his intuition, someone, or something, had materialized as expected. Michael allowed a wry smile to grace his lips, pleased with the success of his plan. He quickly focused his attention on the blurry figure captured by the spider's lens. With precision, he zoomed in on the image, straining his eyes to discern any discernible humanoid features. He swiped the screen, switching between different camera angles provided by the spiders in the vicinity. Regrettably, the elusive figure manifested and vanished with such speed that none of the spiders managed to capture a clear image. As the blurry figure caught Michael's attention, a flicker of recognition stirred within him, reminiscent of someone he had encountered before, Andreas. Unbeknownst to him, this ethereal presence was another iteration of Andreas, one that had met its demise at his hands. The Andreas currently aligned with Celice had emerged from the depths of hatred for the Dark Lord, infused with the essence of hell flames. Nevertheless, the presence of the hazy figure served as confirmation that a formidable force was operating covertly against him. It propelled Michael further along his path toward eradicating these hidden adversaries. With a sense of satisfaction, Michael acknowledged the flawless execution of his plan. Now, all that remained was to bide his time, patiently awaiting the arrival of his adversaries. In his amusement, he likened their impending approach to that of a sacrificial goat, unknowingly drawn to its appointed butcher. A chuckle escaped his lips, filled with an air of sinister anticipation. "Now, let's just wait here and let the goat come running to its butcher," Michael chuckled. Michael devised two strategies to confront Quintus. The initial plan involved launching a surprise infiltration of Caius' mansion, where Quintus was believed to be hiding, based on information acquired from his network of spies. The alternative plan entailed luring Quintus directly to Michael's presence. After careful consideration, Michael opted for the latter, recognizing that this course of action would not only ensure Quintus' presence but also provide further validation of his existing suspicions regarding an elusive entity operating against him from the shadows. In essence, by implementing the second plan, Michael aimed to accomplish multiple objectives simultaneously, strategically positioning himself to confront Quintus and strengthen his certainty regarding the covert opposition he faced. Moreover, Michael desired Quintus' fate to serve as a stark warning and unmistakable message to all those who dared to align themselves with his adversaries. With a deliberate descent through the darkened skies, Michael could perceive the growing commotion emanating from Caius' opulent mansion. "Dark Lord!" Suddenly, a thunderous roar pierced through the night, carried by Quintus' commanding voice, echoing throughout the city and commanding attention from all who heard it. Under Quintus' tyrannical rule, a haunting darkness engulfed the once vibrant realm. The horror stories whispered among the townsfolk paled in comparison to the gruesome reality they faced. Quintus, a vampire of insatiable hunger, reveled in his sadistic reign, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken spirits in his wake. Night after night, young souls, lured by false promises or seized under cover of darkness, vanished without a trace. Their cries for help echoed in the shadows, unheard and unanswered. Quintus, a predator hiding under Caius' manor, found pleasure in feasting upon the life essence of his victims. Their blood, once warm and pulsating with vitality, became his unholy elixir, prolonging his cursed existence. The people, trapped in a web of fear, lived in constant terror. Each passing day brought fresh nightmares as their loved ones disappeared one by one, leaving behind a void of anguish and unanswered questions. The once bustling streets now lay deserted and haunted, the atmosphere thick with an eerie silence. Hope flickered like a dying flame as the people yearned for a savior to vanquish this monstrous fiend. Whispers of resistance circulated in hushed tones, desperate pleas for someone, anyone, to rise against the nightmarish rule of Quintus. They longed for the light of justice to pierce through the suffocating darkness that had enveloped their lives. As the commotion echoed through the streets, a wave of fearful faces emerged from the safety of their homes. Yet, as Quintus' roar filled the night, a subtle sense of relief washed over them. Despite the world branding Michael as the malevolent Dark Lord, the reign of his loyal servant, Caius, had brought prosperity and happiness to Giselle. Under their joint leadership, the kingdom thrived, heading toward a golden era of prosperity. Even amid rumors of Caius' hidden allegiance to the Dark Lord, the people remained unconcerned, for their lives were filled with abundance and contentment. During Michael's absence in the depths of hell, a treacherous turn of events unfolded within the Sky Hall. The execution team, manipulated by sinister forces, falsely accused Caius of serving the evil Dark Lord and swiftly ended his life. In a chilling twist, Quintus, a far greater malevolence, seized control of Caius' manor, unleashing a reign of terror upon the land. The dark shadow of Quintus cast a sinister pall over the kingdom, as numerous young souls mysteriously vanished without a trace. Their lives were cruelly sacrificed, becoming nothing more than vessels of sustenance for Quintus' insatiable thirst for blood. The people, gripped by fear and living in perpetual dread, found themselves caught between the horrors of Quintus and the tales of the feared Dark Lord. So when Quintus roared the name, Dark Lord, an ironic sense of relief washed over them. Finally, Michael came face to face with the notorious Quintus, and the sight that met his eyes filled him with a seething rage. Quintus, in his audacity, had not only taken the life of Heinberg, one of Michael's trusted subordinates, but had also played a pivotal role in aiding the Sky Hall execution team's invasion of Giselle. The consequences of his actions were grim, leading to the execution and hanging of Caius, another loyal subordinate. However, it was Quintus' insolence that truly ignited Michael's fury. The vampire had brazenly donned the 2 remaining armor pieces, sacred relics left by the previous Dark Lord, meant to be wielded by Michael alone. This act of defiance struck at the very core of Michael's authority and challenged his rightful claim to power. It was an affront that would not go unanswered. As Michael examined Quintus more closely, a mix of surprise and curiosity overtook his initial anger. The transformation that Quintus had undergone was far more extreme than Michael had anticipated. Knowing that Quintus had been turned into a vampire by Fabia Viridius under the orders of Saber, Michael couldn't help but question the extent of the experiments conducted on him. The abomination standing before him, with twisted features and a monstrous aura, bore little resemblance to the man Quintus once was. The grotesque appearance, marked by elongated fangs, pale and gaunt features, and an unsettling aura of darkness, hinted at the depths of depravity that Quintus had descended into. Michael's astonishment mingled with a sense of apprehension, as he realized that Fabia's experiments alone could not account for the monstrous being that Quintus had become. Due to the manipulation of the Sky Hall execution team, even the loyal soldiers of Caius were compelled to follow the orders of the newly appointed senators. When the team, in collusion with the Senate, declared Quintus as the senator of defense, the soldiers had no choice but to obey. However, the soldiers and the general populace had only known Quintus before his transformation into a vampire. In their eyes, he was a ruthless Spartan general driven by a lust for conquest and the expansion of Kingdom Morel. None of them could fathom that Quintus had long forsaken his humanity in exchange for dark powers as a vampire. Furthermore, by donning the armor pieces left by the previous Dark Lord, his soul and physical form had been irreversibly corrupted, turning him into a horrifying abomination. Thus, when Quintus made his first public appearance, emerging from Caius Manor, the soldiers guarding the premises were left utterly shocked and horrified by the grotesque sight before them. The sight of Quintus left the soldiers frozen in shock and disbelief, rendering them unable to move or react. None of them could recognize the once respected Spartan general in the abomination before them. However, the training and discipline ingrained within them allowed some soldiers to shake off their initial fear and attempt to confront this monstrous creature. Yet, Quintus swiftly launched himself at the soldiers, his long tongue coiling around their necks like a deadly serpent, and mercilessly sank his fangs deep into their vulnerable flesh. Blood was swiftly drained from the soldiers' bodies as Quintus moved from one victim to another, his insatiable thirst fueling his growing power. Michael calmly observed the scene, his keen eyes capturing every chilling detail, noting the evident enhancement of Quintus' strength with each life he consumed. "My lord, permit me to vanquish that abomination," Azazel requested, his eyes filled with determination. However, Michael gently declined, shaking his head in response. "I have another individual who is eager for this confrontation," Michael calmly stated, gesturing towards the ground below them as Azazel followed his gaze. To their surprise, Saber emerged, walking with an air of tranquility towards the bridge that connected the city to Caius Manor. This abomination was created within one of Saber's laboratories, and it is his responsibility to eradicate it, Michael declared as he descended gracefully to the ground, landing with poise. With a mere flick of his wrist, his magnificent throne materialized beneath him, and he settled into it, ready to observe the impending battle between Saber and Quintus. Despite Quintus having donned the coveted armor pieces that Michael had tirelessly sought, he resisted the urge to dispatch Quintus himself swiftly. This presented an unparalleled opportunity to witness Saber's combat prowess firsthand. It was a crucial test for Saber, and if he proved his mettle, Michael would bestow upon him the esteemed title of the King of Nightwalkers. Quintus, moving with unnatural agility on all fours, approached the imposing iron gates that stood as the last barrier between him and the Dark Lord. His elongated tongue writhed ominously, revealing its grotesque split end. As Quintus drew nearer, a putrid stench of decay and sulfur permeated the air, assaulting the senses of those unfortunate enough to be in close proximity. Blood oozed from his mutilated body, dripping onto the ground with a sickening rhythm. The sight was truly macabre as Quintus' skin peeled away, revealing raw flesh underneath. His face, once distinguished, now bore the marks of his transformation, with chunks of flesh hanging loosely from his skeletal features. The blood that seeped from his wounds mixed with the dirt on the ground, creating a vile concoction of gore and filth. With a ferocious burst of strength, Quintus lunged at the iron gates, his clawed hands tearing into the metal with a screeching cacophony. The gates groaned under the onslaught, straining against the force exerted by this unholy abomination. In an instant, the gates crumbled, reduced to twisted remnants of their former glory. Quintus' gaze locked onto Saber, who stood resolute between him and the Dark Lord. Their eyes met, an intense confrontation of wills, as the air crackled with anticipation. The scene was a grisly tableau, with Quintus' disfigured form and Saber's unwavering determination creating a stark contrast against the backdrop of chaos and destruction. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.